Good
morning.
Well, first of all, thank you all for taking part in this leadership jamming session. Now, by the way, before we start, any one of you know what jamming is? So, Johnny, what is jamming?
Jamming means a lot of people all talk together and jam the whole idea.
Wow, a lot of what?
That means when everybody turn on their frequency and everybody transmit together to jam.
Oh yeah, that's one way of jamming, yeah. But that's one way, yeah, actually it's correct. Another jamming, anybody know? Jasmine sure no one.
I reserve my comments.
Okay, jamming in poly days is, we all kids go to the studio, rent the studio with the musical instrument, the drum and all this. And we'll just jam, the lead. Normally what we'll do is that the lead jammer will give a tune and then the rest of us will just jam in and just play to the tune, no format, nothing, very relaxed. So today is exactly that also. Alright, so we are going to do the jamming, and before we get started, I would like to make one or two logistic things. Have the handphone off or to the silence mode, yeah? So that we all can have fun jamming. And secondly, this is a rule that everybody will have to follow. That we are going to actively, all of us, each and every one of us, is to be actively engaged and participate in the jamming session. That means to say that at any one time you have questions, just raise your hand and ask, or you have a different opinion, you feel like throwing your shoe at the speaker, just do so, at your own risk, of course. Okay. Now, before we start, I'd like to take a moment to introduce our two lead jammers for today's jamming session. Our first lead jammer is Mr. Yong, so sitting next to me. And we affectionately call him Mr. Chairman. Now, partly because he has had very little or very limited work experience. Mr. Lim, other than he did not have many other jobs than just being the chairman. And he is chairman of several notable public and the private company boards of directors, and include the NUH system, Jurong Health Services, Peng Fong Hospital, Interroller, and etc. etc. So even though he got many company, but he only got one job, chairman. So not so much experience. But Mr. Lim is a distinguished alumni of Singapore Polytechnic, but he never graduated from SP. See? Now you know. He distinguished alumni but never finished his diploma. Now, Mr. Lim was among the early batches of the SP students who spent 2 years studying in the Singapore Poly. At that time was, I think, the Prince Edward campus, and then proceed to this University of Singapore to complete his degree. Mr. Lim got the degree in 1967, but he's not qualified for diploma. So, for some of you who have read the history book, you will know that Mr. Lim was also the chairman of Singapore Polytechnic Board of Governors from 1995 to year 2000. He was very instrumental in helping SPGG to secure a commercial loan to build this very building that we are now sitting on. In fact, without the help from Mr. Lim, you and I would be sitting here today. Mr. Lim will be our lead jammer today, and so let's give him a warm welcome. The second lead jammer, Mr. Fook, I think he needs no introduction. I think all of us know him very well. If not, your diploma will be revoked. Well, Mr. Loh has got many roles here. Mr. Loh was the principal of Singapore Polytechnic from 1996 to end of 2007. And he was very instrumental in developing the campus, they're fronting the Dover Road site, you know, the Dover MRT station. In fact, rumors has it that he was the one who convinced LTA to locate the MRT station right at the front of the campus, so that, you know, make it convenient for students. That's only rumors. SPGG and Mr. Lau has a very profound relationship, and dated back in the moment he became the principal of Singapore Polytechnic. But the most notable one was that Mr. Lau, in early 2000, when SPG was confronted with a slew of challenges, you know, after this clubhouse came into operation, Mr. Lau was under tremendous pressure to make SPGG healthier, and he kept his faith with us, with the SP graduate who lived and ran the guild, and supported SPG throughout the hardship period. We call it the dark period. Here is Mr. Lau. Sorry, please take a seat. Take a seat.
What late got to take a seat?
Take how long?
For as long as we say so. Okay. So, you know, if not for Mr. Fook's support during the early 2000s, there was also a good chance that SPGG may not exist today. I think Mr. Loom and Stella will probably know the background quite well, because we all lived through that. Well, Mr. Lau was conferred the honorary member in 2012, and he belongs to a very exclusive elite group of people, 1 out of 4, and he's 1 of 4 honorary member of Singapore Polytechnic Graduate Guild. And today Mr. Lau will be also our lead jammer, so let's give it to him. Too long, huh? Somebody cannot tahan already. Alright, before we start, I would like to also mention we have 2 special guests here. We have joining our jamming session. One is Mr. Han Cheng. Mr. H-N-G, not but it's +1 H. Is my personal weight management coach. I already lost, coming to 6 now. And Mr. Ng is also, I think Alison is not here, also our SPG Endowment Fund donor. And also Mr. Lokam Singh. Lokam Singh is a friend of our chairman, and is man with multi-talent. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my privilege to call upon Mr. Chairman to get the ball rolling.
Thank you for inviting me here today. I don't know many of you, but I hope that by the end of today we will know each other. Our President, our most honorable President, I think he can talk a lot, so we had to stop him just now. But despite these few short minutes he was talking, he managed to say that I don't know anything except being chairman. So what I would like to do today is try to show you that I know something more than just being chairman. Okay. So I would like to start, I'm in charge of this slide, okay, with the first slide. First, are there any questions on this slide?
Oh.
No questions, huh?
Wow,
Okay.
you all don't have questions.
You can ask questions from the first slide. Even this has some questions.
What is the 6th number below?
Oh, very good.
Oh, curious eye.
Immediately you spotted something. Everything you do, our IC, and everything has a number. So when I prepared this, together with Mr. Fook, we said we must also put some numbers. So we put some numbers there. And numbers are not meaningless. This number, without my glasses, I think I can read. This 75, 31, 59. It was originally 757158. But while we were working on this slide, the last part became 59.
Word change. Wow, word change.
So 75 is my age. So if you want to know how old I am, I'm 75 years old. Wong Fook is 71. And halfway through this, the president said he's now 59 years old. And his number is 58. Let me move to the next slide. So I think that's the only question that anybody could ask, and you asked it. You know, the president asked me one day, what is this number? We were working on it for so long and he still didn't know what it's all about. After that he said, your 58 is wrong, it's 59. Sorry. These are two pieces of wood that I picked up. On the left, I actually found this piece of wood in New Zealand. Many years ago in New Zealand, there's a town called Queenstown. If any one of you has been to Queenstown, it's a very beautiful resort. And Queenstown was flooded. And the whole town was filled with driftwood. And I picked up this piece of wood. This one. This right piece is actually not driftwood. This is a rambutan tree growing in my garden. I looked after this tree very well, and you know, we had so many rambutans, but I hardly had a chance to harvest anything because the crows would eat my rambutan. And you'll be surprised, the crows, they know how to peel this rambutan and take the rambutan inside. I'll be left with this empty shells. So after some time I decided I'll chop this rambutan tree down and plant it something else. And what you see there, this is the roots. And the rambutan tree goes up here, quite big, up higher than this one. But I only kept this part. So I would like to prove today to all of you that I'm not just a chairman, as your president said. Because what I do with all these things I collect is I carve them. So I pick up this driftwood, I carve something out of them. So this one, as I said, is not driftwood, but it's still an imperfect piece of wood. Whereas this driftwood is, we don't know what's inside, it could be rotten. In fact, this one also could be rotten inside, so it's maybe half rotten. So my hobby is to carve these things. When I pick up this piece of wood, I looked at it for a long time, I turned it around, I spent maybe 1-2 months because anyway I just collected from New Zealand, and one of my friends brought it back all the way from New Zealand. So it was in my house for some time, and I was wondering what to do with this piece of wood. So after some time, in my head I imagined that, I don't know what you see, but what I saw in my head is that this piece of wood looked like an octopus. So I decided to carve an octopus from this piece of driftwood. So I did some very nice piece of work. I looked at it and I thought, wow, I'm quite talented. But halfway through, this part from around here just broke because inside was all rotten. And a piece of driftwood, you do not know what's inside, and halfway carving it broke. So I was very, very disappointed. I left this piece of wood in the garden. Time to time I look at it and wonder what to do with it. Eventually I pick it up again and I carve something out of it. So my next slide I'm going to show you what I did with this piece of wood. So that piece of wood which I wanted to carve into an octopus, that's the one. What do you think it looks like?
Hippo.
Hippo. It looks like hippo. But if you take a picture of a photo of a hippo, or you go and look at a hippo, it doesn't really look exactly like this. But this makes you think it looks like a hippo. The reason why it cannot be exactly like a hippo is because it's driftwood. If I carve to make it look like driftwood, many parts of it will break. And if you look at the slide just now, this one and this one, you notice that there are ears, these two ears. Actually, these are one of the most important features of this carving. It is two ears and this lines here, actually grooves. Right? I like those parts very much. And I also like this part. But it doesn't look exactly like a hippo. It looks something like a hippo. So I was very happy with this carving. I put this in my house. Many people come, including your president. Our president, he came to my house. He never even gave this thing a look. But one or two of my friends said, wow, this is quite fantastic. So I went to boast to them, what a great job I did. But many people just don't even see. Here are two other pieces I carved. This piece of wood I found in Labrador. One day I went to Labrador with my grandson. I saw this piece of wood floating in the sea. So I picked it up and carved. It looks like a snake, obviously. And the wood is very soft. I find that because it's soft, I just use a pen knife, I can carve this snake. This one is from my neighbor's garden. It's a juniper tree, it's rotten. And I carved something like that. Looks a bit abstract. Of course, but to me, out of the three pieces, this is the one I like most. My daughter says this is very good, so she likes this. So she said that when I die, she's going to keep this one. I'm 75 already, the time is coming. But anyway, I enjoy doing this. And Mr. President, I want to tell you that I've got some talent.
I think so.
I don't just chair companies. Let me move to the next slide. I don't know what's next. You see this octopus? I went to search Google. I went to Google and searched octopus and I clicked images. There were thousands of images. This I did only 1 or 2 months ago. Or not 2 years ago. And I found this octopus. It looked exactly like what I intended to carve. I did the carving 10 years ago. This is driftwood. So you look at this driftwood and look at this image. I think I could have carved this if the wood was not rotten. But organic things, especially organic things that have been allowed to drift and deteriorate, you never know what you can do with it. So I never achieved this. This is what I wanted to do. I never did it. Let me show you another carving. This is my rambutan tree. If you saw that rambutan tree just now, that's what I carved. And I carved this because of two things. One part, our chief, I call him chief. You can also call him chief if you like.
I'll tell you why I'm called chief. I'll tell that story.
Okay. So because of chief, I carved this woman. But one of the reasons why I carved this is I was on a trip in China. There was this woman talking about, I can't remember what product, maybe it was jade or something. And she actually looked a bit like this, her face. So I carved this to look like a face. And this, the roots of my rambutan tree is the hair. There are a few other things about this carving. I couldn't carve ears, so that this woman has got no ears because the wood is limited and I couldn't produce the ears. You'll notice her eyes are also closed. Because most of the time when she was talking, her eyes were also closed. So that's why I carved this. Okay. About 10-15 years ago when I did the carving, I was chairman of one of these companies that GB talked about. And I gave a talk, a similar talk like this. But there was a visitor to the organization I was in, a Japanese man. His name is Tajima. Tajima was 5 to 10 years older than me. So he attended this talk and he listened to me. At the end of the talk, he came to see me. He says, "Lim son, I don't agree with you." So I said, "Tajima, what is it you disagree with me? I just carved this thing, looks like a hippo." "Your hippo doesn't look like a hippo," he says. "But I didn't say it's hippo, I just did a carving." I said, "All of you said it's a hippo, just like what you all say." No, I don't agree with them." "Oh," I said, "just now you didn't agree with me, now you don't agree with everybody." He said, "I don't agree, it doesn't look like a hippo." "Let me show you." Then he took out his, one of his photos, he showed me. "You see this is a duck," he says. "Does it look like a duck?" I said, "Yeah. It looks like a mallard duck. If you know ducks, this is a mallard duck. This is a male mallard duck. A female mallard duck actually is very ugly. In the animal kingdom and bird kingdom, the males are the prettiest ones. So the male mallard duck is like this, it's very beautiful." So he says, "Lim son, you see this duck is sitting on my sofa. This is his sofa. This mallard duck swims in my pond in Funabashi, near Tokyo. I took a picture of this duck, different angles," he said. "I looked at it, I studied it carefully. I bought a piece of pine wood. I carved this duck. After carving, I painted it. Now look at this duck," he said. "It looks exactly like the duck in my pond. Your hippo doesn't look like anything," he says. I think he makes some very important points. Later we will discuss it again, but I just want to highlight this point. The big difference I want to highlight is I started with driftwood, and I am not sure what the quality of the driftwood is going to be, what I can produce from it. He started with, he bought a block, he said he bought, this is what he told me, he bought a block of pine wood, big piece. Perfect quality, he says. Pine wood is soft, easy to carve. After he carved, he looked at his picture, he painted exactly like this stuff. So in his mind, he says, this is the way you should do things. First, you conceive something. In your mind, you conceptualize, you conceive, okay, you're going to design and build a duck. And then he implemented it. When he built it, it looks exactly like a mallard duck. Anywhere in the world, a mallard duck is now all over the world. If you are a bird watcher, you know, maybe not in Singapore. I have not seen a mallard duck in Singapore. So you know birds, right? But it's all over the world. It's a beautiful duck. So, I want to move on to the next point. He said, those of you who are engineers and who have studied in the Singapore Poly will learn this term, CDIO. First, you conceive of something, a duck maybe, or a piece of equipment, or whatever, and then you design it, then you build it, implement it, and then you operate it. You operate perfectly. I learned this from our principal. Although I was quite old, I was still able to learn. He was a very good teacher.
Tell the story, the context of when I learned it.
Okay, please.
I will tell you. I'll tell the story. But one day, this accountant, Mr. Lim Yong, very excitedly brought me to his home. He said, come. I show you something that I have created. Then he points to his wonderful rainwater recycle system. So he has big tanks, it was plastic tank, and then there are two of them. And then he said, this come with and I designed it with overflowing system. It has got a drain system that enables it to be cleaned very easily, and it has got an anti-mosquito system to prevent mosquito from breeding, the netting and everything. The long and short of it, it was a wonderful system for rainwater collection, for recycling of rainwater. So then, not just that, he told me, you know, I am not happy with this float system. He was using the cistern float as the cut-off valve. He said, it's not working very well. I'm now changing it to something else. So, I said, I've operated the system and it's not good enough. And I've decided to redesign this part. I said, very good. Actually, you are doing unconsciously what I call CDIO. Conceive, design, implement, and operate. That was the context. So he did it without even knowing that he was doing it.
I never heard of this term CDIO until you told me.
Okay, sorry. I thought maybe give the context.
Anyway, Tajima's son, my friend, said it should be this way. But as Chief just explained, it's not just like this. Because after I operated it, I found it's actually not so good. So I had to modify. So actually Tajima's idea, you can do a perfect thing. Actually, many things we do cannot be perfect. All the time we adjust. Even our MRT system cannot be perfect. Because the software changes, the train changes, right? And every time we have to tweak and modify it. You cannot design a perfect system from start in engineering. And many other things actually. Even you want to do a simple assignment, you want to go to the market, you think you'll walk there and buy something. Actually, your plan very often cannot be implemented because it rains. Then you have to go back and bring your umbrella or whatever. So many things have to be tweaked along the way. I don't know whether I'm still talking in it's going. I don't know what's the next slide. The next slide is your slide, right?
Okay.
I'm going to go off for a while.
Okay.
You carry on.
I will do so. I thought I get a help to jam it when I'm doing. Good morning, everybody. Because just now I was jamming and I didn't do the formalities. So, good morning, and of course, good morning to you, Mr. President.
Morning, sir.
And
Principal, you know.
I was called the chief, right? Some of you may be puzzled, how come principal became my chief? Before I took on this job as principal, and in fact it was Mr. Lim who brought me in, I was the chief inspector of factories. Okay?
Again, the chief inspector.
The chief inspector of factories. So I was law enforcer, enforcing the then Factories Act. Now there's a new act called Workplace Safety and Health Act. So I was the one who stopped people's work when they have a very bad accident. Like for instance, accident of the magnitude of Nickel Highway. You remember Spiros earlier?
Yeah.
I was the one who stopped work. So they called me chief. And chief wasn't actually a normal, now, today it's not a normal destination. But early days, there was a lot of chiefs. No? Of course, many Indians as well. so that was the reason why I got called chief. Okay? That's explaining. Now the other thing is about CDIO. Now, CDIO, when Mr. Lim said, then I was looking at Eugene. Eugene said, I haven't heard of it. Because CDIO came about 3 years before I finished my term. Why I look at CDIO? Because Singapore Polytechnic is known to be very strong in engineering. But engineering is losing its glamour. I use the word glamour. During the days when I did engineering, the best in the crop when engineering. So I proudly say that I'm a mechanical engineer. Okay? So, but as time goes on, after you're lab engineering student, you must not so glamorous. People are doing accountancy, what else, marketing, what else. So I say, what? And Singapore Polytechnic, if our engineering courses goes down, we are lost, we are dead lost. You know why? Because we are known to be an engineering polytechnic. Yeah. This is our brand name, you know. So something has to be done. And what is it that has to be done? I say we must put back design into our engineering. And not just design for function and all that, but put humanity back, design that is humanity driven back into the system. So we say CDIO, and we say conceive, we design, we implement, we operate. Now, conceive, we can understand. You must have an image in our mind as to what you want to do before you start off even on the drawing board designing. And after you design, what do? You do installation. After they install, the work is not done. What do you do next? You operate the system. Just like Mr. Lim operated the system of what they call water catchment, right? He was having a very small little water catchment plant, you know. So he operated the system and found that something was not working well. And he began to go back. So you can see that there is this iterative process that is going on, right? And does it stop there after you have operated it? No, right? If the operation is no good, go back to
Yeah, you got it.
you go.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. You have to go back to operate and you go back to conceive. You think of it again, and then you go and you cycle around. But actually, if you think of it, it didn't just happen. You need not complete the cycle before you do the iteration, right? You can do the iteration at every of this quadrant. Now, let me give you an example. Now, when he did, Mr. Lim, did the carving, actually, he was doing, what he was doing is that he conceived that as a hippo, right? No, as an octopus. Then he designed it as an octopus. In his mind, there was an octopus. Now, in fact, this image of the octopus, which he eventually found on the internet, was already in his mind. So, he already had that in his mind. So, actually, when he had that in his mind, he put it in the memory store. Right? And actually, when he wanted to carve it, although he didn't succeed, the octopus, he succeeded half of it. He's already recalling from his mind, his memory, what the shape of the octopus is supposed to be, and trying doing it. Right? So actually, he was already designing and was implementing it already. He was carving it. Alright? And then when he come back, he said, cannot be done. He reconceived. You see the cycle when he didn't go through here. He was not here yet. So at every point, you can go back and you can recall the memories of the future. And he was very deliberate in reflecting upon it. Do you remember I said that I put that aside for 2 years? Now what did he do in 2 years? Not that he's doing nothing, and let the piece of wooden block, you know.
2 years.
It was, you say 2 years, you don't know what to do with the octopus.
My memory is back.
But not 2 years. Okay. So whatever it is, there was a time lapse that he did reflection. So this explains what is this recalling from memory and reflection, right? And also the thing is this, what is the difference between Kajima-san and Mr. Lim Yong-ma-san? Lim Yong-ma-san here. Lim-san. Kajima is a typical engineer like me. It is doing things by sequence, right? Don't go back. You just go one round, come back. Sequentially you do it. You don't go in halfway, you go and break the cycle. So he was a typical engineer. And I'm an engineer too. So when I first conceived this CDIO, as even MTI or MIT people, we are partners, in this MIT. They all conceive it as a sequential kind of a relationship between conceive, design, implement. One cycle, that's all. But actually, the important thing that we should know is, Mr. Lim one day said, from his various working experience, actually worked very hard, not just as chairman. He was actually, every time when he was chairman, he was more like executive chairman. He was working on the ground, going into the trench. So when we built the hospital, he was on the ground. So, sorry, Mr. President, correction, actually he worked more than a worker.
Okay, so he's a hardworking chairman.
Very hardworking, and he used to be executive chairman, friend.
Oh.
He's not just chairman, not a push paper type chairman. Correct. sorry. So I was doing so unjust, so I had to correct. So it was, and the wonderful thing is this double arrow, not the double arrow, although it's not very small. Everywhere you can go back home. And then you have got in the center this little circle, which you cannot see. Actually, in the circle, there's a little, it's a text, PDCA. You all know what is PDCA, right? Plan, do, check, cycle. Okay, and this is why you do this cycle? Because you want to achieve continuous improvement, and at the end, the reward is excellent. Thank you very much. I think it's time for something else.
Thank you.
Oh, you're happy.
I want to expand what Chief has said, because he's highlighted a few points, but the key point I want to highlight, maybe he didn't emphasize when I went out, is that when I did the HIPPO, and when I designed and built and implemented my rainwater collection system, I was doing it all by myself. Nobody else was doing it with me. So I conceived it, I designed it, and I amend it all by myself. See, the feedback is very easy, all back to myself. When you are in an organization, if you are in charge of various facilities, some of you could be an expert cook, you'll be an expert in maintenance of various systems in any organization, then you realize that something is not working, ought to be changed. You cannot change it. And that's a problem. So you got to go back to your boss, and the boss got to go back to his boss, and that boss go to the exco, and you go to I don't know where, right? In the end, you say, better don't waste our time. Nothing can be done. I'm doing all this by myself, so I can do it. So it's a big difference. The CDIO system for one person, or even 2-3 person is quite easy. But when you are 60 people in SPGG, I guess the number is 60, around 60, then you are experts in the kitchen, you are experts in membership, experts in accounts. Each one of you have your own ideas, but how do you make this change? And I don't know what the president wants, Right? One day he's chasing you to look at the car park, the next day he says, membership is no good. And then he says, something wrong with the jackpot room. Everything going wrong at the same time.
Mr. Chairman, that is the job of GM.
Well, not president.
No, president.
Okay, Loom. I should have pointed at you. But actually, in any job we have, all these things going on at the same time. And yet, this process that Mr. Wong has explained is actually a very important process. It's not fixed. CDIO, right? As he has shown, it's all interlinked. How? Yes, no.
Mr. Lim, can I ask you, I look at your design, okay? Your design are all one piece of wood. One piece, one block. There's no break, no joint.
Yeah.
Why is it that when the feature that you wanted to decide there's no ear, is it possible to take that piece of wood from someplace else and then attach?
Okay.
I find that there is no joint at all in the ear. Is there any reason behind it?
I'll tell you a secret, huh? I go back. First you said this hippo, right?
Yeah.
There's no joint. The secret I'm going to tell you is, doesn't matter if I tell you this secret because my grandson's favorite toy is my hippo. When he was 4 years old, my grandson used to play with this. Oh, he take his hippo and then he challenged it. One day he dropped from the table. And this ear broke. Right? So I glued it back. But if you look at it, you wouldn't see that there's a glue because I found this very good glue that looks like wood. So it's almost perfect. Your comment is right. So, but I want to show you that in this case, there was a part that was glued. Why is it I didn't glue the ears? I could have actually done the same thing.
Yeah.
I could have carved an ear and just fix it. This is not my story. This is Mr. Lau's story. He will explain to you later. But I want to say that when I carved this woman, I decided that I will not carve the ears. There's also a reason. Of course, I could have carved the ears and glued it just like my hippo. But I intentionally left it, and the story is not mine, Mr. Lau's story. Huh? This is a very relevant question.
Hold it. Hold the question.
Okay, we have got up to this point, right? Up to this point, we have discussed this idea of CDIO. And CDIO applies differently to different situations. One person versus an organization, a perfect piece of wood versus an imperfect piece of wood. So there's actually a lot of imperfections everywhere. Not only that, a lot of things are changing all the time. So the MRT system is one where the signaling system changes. Some old equipment cannot integrate with the new signaling system, so we have to change. And then there are new signaling systems that can give us better operation, so they install this new one. And it's not so straightforward as you all can see, right? We are hitting problems. So where are we now? Okay. I'm going to talk about a different story. There are a few stories we are going to discuss today. The first story is finished. It's the wood carving story. And it's CDIO. The second story is this Battle of Waterloo. Today, I don't know whether you all realize, it's a very, very important auspicious day, 6th of February. So when I woke up this morning, I wake up every morning at 5 o'clock, before all of you wake up. And my newspaper arrives at 5:45. So I'll go up and collect the newspaper. So this morning I did that. So I turned page 1, page 2, and look for this 6th of February auspicious day. You know why it is 6th of February auspicious day? Because we are meeting today, right? 6th February. So will there be a front page headline saying, you know, SPGG jamming session? No, I checked the whole paper. Not a single mention of this.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
no budget.
no budget.
No budget to put a newspaper.
But I tell you why 6th of February is such an auspicious day. You all may not know. You all may have to know. If my guess is correct, 6th of February will become the most important day, one of the most important days next year. So if you all want to know why I think so, it's because on 6th of February 1819, Sir Stamford Raffles declared, he proclaimed that Singapore is now part of our British colony. So if you all read the news, you will know that next year, if my prediction is right, we will celebrate 6th of February. But of course, there are many other days we can pick. Because 1819, when Sir Stamford Raffles when he signed this agreement with Hussein Shah, the Sultan, actually, you go and check, I couldn't find what is the date of the signing of this agreement. But on 6th February, Sir Stamford Raffles announced, he made this announcement in 3 languages, in English, in Chinese, and in Malay. He understood only 2 languages. He understood the English, he understood Malay. So many of you may not know that Sir Stamford Raffles could speak and write Malay. Many of us cannot do that, right? But he could. He could do it in English, and he made this proclamation, 6th of February, 1819, that from today, Singapore is part of the British colony. It's a very auspicious day.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I read that. Because
Oh,
that's what
please read that.
On 6th
You
of
want-
February
you want-
1819, Sir Stamford Raffles, Temanggung Abdurrahman and Sultan Hussein Shah of Johor signed a treaty
Oh, they signed on the 6th also.
that gave the
Oh.
British East India Company the
Yeah.
right to set up a trading post in Singapore.
Yeah.
That was what it was.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So you see, our Shilau is very tech savvy. As I was talking, you already asked Mr. Gu, Agu, I always say Agu, and he got the answer. So Singapore could pick this date, because they have not announced, our government has not announced which date they are going to pick. But seems to be the right date to me. So today I went to check the newspaper, not about our jamming session, of course, right? I was checking whether today they will announce that 6th of February is the date. It's not in the papers today. You go and check, unless I'm very bad at checking, it's not there. I think it's a good day. So now I want to, why am I talking about Sir Stamford Raffles and 6th of February? And I got this picture of the Battle of Waterloo. Sir Stamford Raffles was the Governor General of Java for a few years. I think he was finally kicked out. But you go and Google, you can read the history. But in 1815, around towards the second half of 1815, he was asked to go back to UK, to England, from Java. And on his way back to England, he stopped on an island called St. Helena. And he met somebody there. The person he met there was Napoleon Bonaparte. So he met Napoleon Bonaparte. Why did he meet Napoleon Bonaparte? He was Indonesia, Java. Then he went back to England. He was called back to England. That was 1815, right? And then he came back. 1817, he became Governor General of Bencoolen. Bencoolen is also in Sumatra somewhere, part of the British territories at the time. And he went back because when he was Governor General in Java, he had to work very closely with the Dutch. The Dutch, as you know, were in Indonesia, and in Java they had controlled many areas. But why go and see Napoleon? Napoleon is French. Actually, what we may not know, or we may not remember, those who know, is that there's a period in history when Java was French. Why was Java French? Java was French because the French conquered Holland. So the Dutch was part of French territory. So he was Governor General in Java, dealing with the Dutch. Suddenly he had to deal with the French as well. The French actually never came to this side. They went to Cambodia, but they never Vietnam. But they never came to Indonesia, Malaysia and so on. But because they were in control of Holland, they had influence over. So Sir Stamford Raffles just went to have a look at Napoleon. If you go and Google, you find he actually has a report of what happened when he met Napoleon. He said Napoleon is a very rude, self-centered man. And he had a brief chat with him. He can only talk about himself, what a great guy he is. Right? He's not capable of thinking beyond his own interests. That is Sir Stamford Raffles' opinion of Napoleon. Now, if you leave Stamford Raffles aside now and go and study the Battle of Waterloo, and study a bit more about Napoleon, you'll find that actually Napoleon was quite an incredible guy. Because although he's small and even shorter, I think, he was very influential, and he was almost emperor of Europe. But it was not a straight trajectory. He did not just do better and became more and more influential. He did very well, then he did badly. He was exiled. The European countries got together and in France, he put King Louis, I don't know, 16, 17, 15, I can't remember this number, and sent him to an island called Elba. I think it's Elba. You Google, you'll find it. But he came back from Elba. He went back to France, and there were a lot of generals and so on who were still loyal to him. They kicked out this King Louis, whom the other European countries set up as the king of France, and became king again. Then he decided he would want to conquer the whole of Europe. 1815. So, in 1815, he marched with about 200,000 soldiers to Brussels. Where is Brussels? Before Brussels, there's this town called Waterloo. I think there's a map, right?
Next one.
So this is my next slide. In Belgium.
By the way, there will be a test afterwards. Huh?
What we cannot see, this is Brussels, right? And this is all part of Belgium. In Belgium, why was he going to Belgium and why does he go to Waterloo? It's because the Dutch and the British, Anglo-Dutch forces had a base, a very big base in Waterloo. So he decided he would go there and he would wipe them out. He became emperor of Europe. That was the big battle of Waterloo. Is 18th of June, 1815. Actually, this battle is not only Britain against Anglo-Dutch versus Napoleon. There was also Prussians. The Prussian, if you look at the map now, you cannot find a country called Prussia. Prussia was a combination of maybe Germany and Austria and so on. And it was a very big country at that time. So the Prussian army and the British army, Anglo-Dutch army, was fighting against Napoleon. So Napoleon went to Waterloo, 1817. The Prussians was already there. So he had about 200,000 soldiers. The Prussians had maybe 150. No, I got it all mixed up. The Prussians and the British Anglo-British together is 200,000. Napoleon's army was 120,000 maybe. But each one of the British or the Prussian was smaller than Napoleon. So he attacked the Prussians first. The Prussians were a bit not exactly in Waterloo yet. And he beat them. And they retreated. When the Prussians retreated, he just left them, let them go. Because he's going to concentrate the next day on this great battle with the Duke of Wellington. The Duke of Wellington was leader of this Anglo-Dutch army. Actually, Napoleon, some of his generals didn't agree with him. They said, you should actually chase the Prussians. When they retreated, wipe them out. So they kept on asking him to do that. And one day later, he agreed half-heartedly with his general. And he sent about 30,000 of the soldiers after the Prussians. But the Prussians are already one day ahead of them. They won, I think, Mr. Pointer. So the Prussians were somewhere here, so they went out somewhere there, towards this But he was one day late, maybe he went off there. So the next day, 18th of June, 1815, very important day, Napoleon attacked Waterloo, attacked the Anglo-Dutch. So the Duke of Wellington fought against him. He made a few tactical errors. First, he started late in the morning. So I'm not a military tactician, no. I'm telling you what I read. Apparently he started late because the ground was wet. So he says it's wet, if my forces with their cannons and all this go, they cannot fight a good battle. So he started a bit later in the afternoon. Remember, June is summer in that period. So the morning will start very early, about 6 o'clock, it's already bright, and it won't be dark until about 10 o'clock. But instead of starting at 5, 6 o'clock, he started about 10, 11 o'clock. Double check my dates and numbers in Google, ask our Google. And then he attacked the Duke of Wellington, and he almost wiped him out. But towards the late afternoon, maybe around 5 o'clock, it's still bright in summer, 6 o'clock is still bright. The Prussians came back. The Prussians who went there, led by General Buscher, came back. And together they were 200 old thousand. Right? I said each side is about 100 old thousand. Napoleon's army was bigger than each side, each one of them. But together they were so much bigger than him. They came back and he wiped him out. But they didn't kill him. They didn't kill Napoleon. They sort of allowed him to escape. And then he was sent to St. Helena. That's where Sir Stamford Raffles went to meet him. That's the link. But there are many lessons for us to learn of this battle. I think the key lesson to learn is, at that time, there were no iPhones. Because if we had iPhones, if there's telegram, there's Wi-Fi, we would have drones, we have satellites. He would have known that this Buscher army went, the Prussians went there and then turned back. He didn't have the information. So he lost the battle. So the lesson we could learn from here is we must always have information. Information must be up to date. It's changing all the time, but we must have the information. Otherwise we can make tactical errors. There's another part to this story. This is the battleground. For those of you who have studied wars and tactics in war will know that the battleground is not where all the battle is. So like Napoleon lost a big war when he tried to take over Russia. You know, he had about 400,000 or 500,000 people marching to Moscow. And his strategy is going to take the capital of Moscow and take over Russia. That is much earlier. I can't remember the date. Ask Agu. Go to Google, right? you find the date. But he marched to Moscow with a view of taking over Russia. You know what the Russians did? The Russians retreated. And they took everything with them. When Napoleon reached Moscow, there was nobody there. There was no food, nothing. His army just collapsed, died. So fighting a war is not only guns, because you got to, every day that people have to eat, right? So there must be constant supply. So the logistics of a war is actually very complicated. It's not only the battlefield. So there's a lot of planning to do for every war. And no war can be fought if there's no money. Who is going to supply you ammunition, guns, water, food, right? Somebody must supply you. You must buy it from somewhere or you must produce from somewhere. You need money. So the finances of the war were in London, in Paris. All the financial centers of the world are involved in every war. That is why now, America, for example, when they have problems with any country, they try to fight it not on the battlefield, they fight it economically. Okay, they tell everybody, you don't sell anything to North Korea. You don't buy anything from North Korea. You kill them, that's the intention, right? So that they have no money, no supply, so how can they fight a war? So this is the other battle. So anyway, the famous organization in London that was financing the war was the Rothschild family. I'm sure every one of you have heard of Rothschild. Actually, the Rothschild family was all over Europe. They were financing the British, the Duke of Wellington, against Napoleon. They were also financing the French, the Napoleon versus Britain, because they have their banks and all over the world. So every government will work with the financial institutions for money to finance the war effort. The story is, I say it's a story because nowadays, even Google and so on changed, About 10 years ago when I Googled the Battle of Waterloo, I found this story. It's a story of Nathan Rothschild and the Battle of Waterloo. A few days ago, I went back to Google. I couldn't find this story anymore. It has been removed. And there are different versions. But I would like to tell you the version I read it about 10 years ago, which may be true, which may not be true. This is the problem with the news we get now. Many of it is true, many of it is untrue, and there's fake news, and even real news becomes fake and fake news becomes real, right? So if you read today's newspaper, there was a report, was it Leonard Chalford? About the city house case. So in the Chinese papers, it's reported at one version, and then somebody actually changed the heading, and changed it. So actually, if you read the wrong version, you don't know, and after some time you don't know which one is the right version. This is the world we live in now. Anyway, back to this version I read, which is a beautiful story I read. Because at that time, the Rothschild family was very well known to be very astute bankers. They make a lot of money doing banking, doing property investment, and so on.
Stock market.
And they were really very wealthy all over Europe. And the belief was, which I think is probably true, was that the Rothschild empire, that they always had information ahead of everybody else. That is why they were able to become so rich. So remember, they didn't have iPhones at that time, or Samsungs. But everybody thought that this Rothschild family, I don't know how they get all this information. Sometimes 1 day, 2 days before everybody else. When they capitalize on it, they become very rich. So there were some articles that says that they have a system of communication. Remember, no iPhones, no telegrams, no phones also, not even any phones. Right? But they have a system of communication that others didn't have. So the belief was that they use pigeons, homing pigeons. So this pigeon can fly from one town to another town. So from there they pick up the message from the legs tied to the pigeon, tied to the new pigeon, go to another town. And from there they have people riding horses across hundreds of miles to the next place, right? So they always get information ahead of others. I believe this is possible. No telegram, right? No telephone.
Smoke signal.
Smoke signal is one of those, yes. But from Belgium, if you put up Waterloo or smoke signal, you cannot get it in London. But maybe they use smoke signal half a way, right? So anyway, 18th of June was the battle. So either 19th or 20th of June, I can't remember. The exact date is not so relevant. Everybody was watching the Rothschild family. And at that time they had a stock exchange in London. Very different from our stock exchange. Now our stock exchange is even more different because nobody is standing there anymore. We just go to the computer, right? It's all done from the computer. And at the early days, the stock exchange is a big hall, you know. There are lots of people. Then the fellow, one guy will say, I want to buy $2. The other fellow will say, I'll take it. Another fellow will say, he sell $3 and various stocks, you know. It's all physical and so on. So London was like that, 1815. So on that date, 18th, 19th or 20th of June, Nathan Rothschild walked to the trading floor. And he normally walked like that, right? Probably. But that day, he put his hand like that and he walked. Everybody looked at him and said, wow, this guy knows something. And everybody was waiting for the news of the Battle of Waterloo. Who won? Is it Britain won or France, Napoleon won? Because if Britain lost, the stock market will crash. If Britain won, the stock market will shoot up, right? So they say, oh, look at him, he's walking a bit differently today. He has known something that everybody doesn't know. So he went to his normal place. He usually goes there, he stands in a normal place. He stands there, then he makes some hand signals. Actually, these are secret gestures. Because if you want to buy a certain share or sell a certain share, you don't want everybody to know, right? So he stood at this certain place and he made certain signals. His agents and traders were all over the trading floor. You know what they did? They sold. They sold shares. At that time they're not called shares. I think they're called consoles, but never mind, it's something like our shares. So his agents started selling. The market crashed. About 99% drop. So $100 share will be worth in market trading at $1. Because very soon everybody knew that Nathan Rothschild was selling. Why was he selling? It must be because Britain has lost. But I told you this story, right? That Napoleon Bonaparte was beaten. Because the Prussians came back and together with Wellington they wiped out Napoleon's army. So actually Britain won. If Britain wins, the market should shoot up. It crashed. Why? It crashed because Nathan Rothschild was selling. In the second half of the day, he bought all these stocks at 1% of its value. One day later, the news came to Britain. Because the battle was won slowly, people go back either a horse or boat or whatever it is. Britain has won. The market dropped 99%, It shot up 500%. You can imagine how much money the Rothschild family made. What can we learn from this? The lesson we learn from this is, first you must have information, right? So Nathan Rothschild had all this information that all the others don't have. The second more important part is, what do you do with the information? So he had the information, he exploited the market. He caused the market to crash so that he can buy these shares very cheap. And he made billions of dollars, right? Pounds, whatever it was, right? I've told this story a few times in different situations. In one place that Wong, Fook and I were in, we were in the hospital. I told them this story. And my concluding view is, you know, in this hospital, we are here to look after sick people. You have the information that the patient doesn't have. Don't take advantage of the patient. You should not be like Nathan Rothschild. The poor fellow is already sick. Some of them are very poor. If you want, you can wipe him out. He doesn't know, right?
You trusted him. The people trusted his.
The patient trusted the doctor, right? To look after him, to care for him. But the doctor is in a position to exploit the patient if he wants to. Which is why our doctors, our profession, they control the doctors now. They have ethics, they have rules, you cannot do this, you cannot. It must be so. Because the patient is very vulnerable. And you read the news 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, our government is now imposing, publishing guidelines. If you have a certain type of illness, this is how much you have to pay. I think this is the right thing to do. Because if you think back, we have a doctor called Susan Lim, who took advantage of this patient. Right? They exploited her, charged her $22 million for cancer treatment.
And she died.
She died.
If you cure, still okay.
Yeah. So, a doctor can do this. So what do we do in SPGG? I would say SPGG must be profitable. If you are not profitable, you collapse. But our objective and motive is not to make profits. It doesn't mean we have to be operating at loss, right? But you have to be profitable. So whatever we are doing, we must make sure it covers our costs and have some surplus for us to expand, to go into new areas. But making profit cannot be the motive of SPGG. Cannot be the motive of any one of our hospitals. So when I'm chairman of the hospital, and Mr. President said I was just chairing and doing nothing, I was telling them, and sometimes it's an argument now. Right? So to distinguish between being profitable and being profit-driven are two different things.
Okay.
That's
Wow, it's getting very interesting. Shall we take a 10 minutes break?
Yes.
You know, so that people can start digesting the Rothschild story versus SPGG. So can we take a 10 minutes break? Yeah.
Yes.
I can go for toilet.
Rothschild, this is a summary of the points. I think this slide was not up there.
Oh, it was up. It was up.
You can get this slide. I think you don't need to copy anything. Everybody should be able to get this slide.
Those of you who needs the presentation material,
I will email to
through Habib will distribute it.
So I want to talk about another subject now.
Chairman, before you about a question regards to just what you have mentioned, when you talk about doctors having the information about patients, all this and that. But from what you have said just now, the doctor's role actually is to is to care for people. It's not so much of profit, profit making, but it doesn't seem to be that way these days. These days, the doctors seem to be more interested in making profits than to care for the people.
I think you raised a very pressing topic to all doctors, because there are some very rich doctors we see, right? But what we don't see is there are many dedicated doctors who are not rich, who work in hospitals. And first of all, I want to restate what you said. If you state it in economic terms, it's called an asymmetry of information. That means asymmetry means the information is not equal to everybody. So if you go to our stock market, for example, our stock exchange tries to make sure that everybody has all the information. So when you buy or sell shares, everybody knows. But in a hospital environment, the asymmetry means not everybody has the same information. So the doctor has more information than us as the patient. So when I see the doctor knows everything about me. I don't know. Because they get all our scans and all the reports, all the tests and so on. So what do they do with the information? They can exploit us if they want to, but most of them don't actually. Most of them are very good doctors. Some of them will break the rules. There is some difference between some hospitals and others. I would say in public hospitals, we pay, because I've been in the system, public hospital system, most of our doctors are paid a salary. Then some years ago, some doctors look at their friends in the private sector, drive a big car, they have a small car, they get so attracted by the money, they'll leave the public hospital so that they can go into private practice and make a lot of money. So the public hospital were trying to find ways, how do we retain these doctors? So some years back we started a system where we said, okay, subsidized patients, right? You look after them, you get nothing. But if you are so good, you bring a private patient to the hospital, we charge them more and we'll give you a percentage of what we charge. This is so that they will earn more and they will stay. Some of them are very happy just to go on like this, but some of them ask for more and more. And they neglect the subsidized patients. So the management of hospital is very complex, You have to manage all this. So it's not just medical care, it's how we pay them, right? So the HR department is a very important department. How do you incentivize them? How do you encourage them to follow our values? So the values of the hospital, we have to state very clearly. Ideally, we will say, if you want to make money from our patient, don't join us. You go anywhere you like, do your own thing. If you join us, you must know we will pay you as best as we can. You'll be well paid, but you cannot be as well paid as those private sector doctors. So you'll be surprised, some doctors actually don't want to make all this money. They like this system, where they work together with the other doctors as a team to look after the patient. In fact, many doctors like this, because it's against their own conscience to go and exploit the patient. Again, not all private doctors exploit the patient, right? Only some do.
I think most of them do. I say that. I think, Mr. Lim, number one, the patient, in fact, I think the private hospital overcharged. With structured hospital, they are very reasonable.
Yes.
Why I say that? Because number one, the patient have insurance. So the doctor don't care anyhow whack. Because for the plan one, you can claim 1 year, 1.15 million. So this is one of the reasons. And then I think the doctor, a young doctor especially, they face with rising costs. The property appreciated, they see their friend.
The friend with big house,
1 million become 20 million. So they thought he's a doctor. Then the car price also gone up. So they face the pressure.
But not every doctor.
No, the private doctor I'm talking about.
I
In
know.
fact, they try to charge as high as possible. It was in the forum. They try to outbid one another until now. People start to put pressure. Insurance, what happened? The insurance premium all gone up.
Correct.
2 years ago, insurance company doing medical lost 100 million. Last year, I think they lost between 100 to 200 million. Not enough to I mean, what I collect and I pay admin, I pay claim, I still lost 100 million. So what happened? The premium go up.
Yeah, yeah.
20 to 30%.
Vicious cycle.
So I think what the government did is correct. List down the thing.
Trying to price it. Yeah.
Some of the doctors are terrible.
Something, you want to say something?
I have just 6-7 months ago, I had a good experience at Gleneagles. My wife admitted and thought it was heart attack and all that, and I went through all the tests. I can't remember the term. There's some virus attack, you know. So I was coughing like mad, and
You or your wife?
my wife admitted hospital.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm coughing.
You also coughing?
Okay.
And then the doctor says, I think the whole family will go for blood test. And your husband coughing, you know, got certain virus attack. And I look at my wife and say, specialist want to make more money, you know. Right? That typical comment. And to my surprise, when I was walking out, said, are your family going for the blood test? And I was like, oh, me, save money, me, you know. But when I go down for the blood test, then I decided, if it's a viral attack, don't play a fool, you know, since the whole family is there, go for the test. And to my surprise, he did not charge us his professional fee. He only charged, he didn't even charge a single cent. The blood test was given to the money was given to the lab, you know. So you do have a doctor like that didn't charge me a single cent, right? He can just pretend and come in, look at you, and then $50, and 4 of us will be $200 gone. But he didn't do that. So occasionally you still do have people like that.
Just on this subject, just to share an experience I had in school, my final year in school, 1961.
That's right.
You learn 1 year.
This session, the class,
I was only 2 years.
this class, this is an ACS EPO, you know,
Malaysia, yeah.
Malaysia. All Chinese students in class except one Malay student, one Indian, you know. Ipoh is a Chinese town. And it's about one of the wealthiest town in the world, tin mining center. And that's the background to that. So Ipoh, a lot of students come from Taha, Kampa, Sitiawan, Batu Gajah. So we all get to the class. So that session, the general paper teacher, Chai Mun Chan, asked us, you know, different groups, when you're finishing this year, what will you pursue? A number of us, mathematically inclined, all went to engineering. Practically all of us except one. Those who are inclined to zoology, biology, practically all will go in medicine. And then he asked us a simple question. So there were 9 of them who said they like to go to be doctors. And he asked a simple question, each group, the doctors, 9 of them. What's your principal motive? You know, is it money? You know, because it pays you well. Out of 9, 8 put up their hands. Money. I just shared it with you that, having said all this, you know, some of us, our inner motive, you know, what drives us forward? There's a little bit of a background to that as well.
I think it's a relevant point. Actually, when we are younger, we cannot help but aim for some money. Is it money the ultimate, or is it money? So I think there are many of us here who say we need money, but there is a limit to this money. We get certain amount of money, we say it's enough. We must be able to understand that that is enough. Because you keep on striving for more money, first of all, you destroy your own life. You'll be pursuing money all the time. You cannot have a chance to enjoy your life, your family, and so on. So we must have this ability to say, okay, this is what I have what I want. Actually, that is not difficult to attain. Of course, you've got to work very hard for it. I would say I'm not very rich. Okay, but I have more than I need. I have more than I need. I don't drive here, so your president comes and fetch me. If he doesn't come and fetch me, I will take a bus or a train, right? I'm quite comfortable, and I think our public system is very, very good.
No,
I
you
don't need all this. But I feel very good, when I say, oh, no, I tell my wife, the president is coming to fetch me this morning, which he did. So I sit in his car and come.
Uber car.
But I think not all of you may agree with me. We don't need very much to be happy.
Mr. Chairman, I totally agree with you.
But it doesn't mean everyone is like us, right? There are some people who keep on wanting more money. I don't know what they do with that money. Actually, I have no idea.
A better life. Some people always, no one normal human being would detest or dislike money, seriously speaking. Everybody would want to have more money.
I think
I won't agree with you totally, because there must be a limit. What I'm trying to say is, you cannot survive without money. You cannot keep on trying to get more and more.
I think it's okay to have money, but it's not okay to be greedy.
Not being greedy over the money. Let me give you an example. Like, if you have, most of the time you have, say about $100 over in your wallet, you feel very secure and comfortable. Because you know every time you open up your wallet, there is money on it. We don't talk about the cards, we don't talk about the credit card, the other cards.
You're so lucky. My wife only give me $10 a day.
But when it comes to a time you have only $10 or about $4 or $5 in the wallet, you keep on asking yourself a question, in Singapore there's nothing much you really can do. Okay? Seriously, there's nothing really much you can do.
$4 you can eat condo meal.
Yeah, you can eat
$3 only.
But in Singapore, a lot of things that you want to do cost money. And the cost is actually very, very high. So every time you ask yourself a question, wow, what is happening to my life? Why am I down to this all the time? So this and the so-called the standard of living is moving up higher and higher and higher most of the time. Things are getting more and more expensive. So nevertheless you cultivate a person to want to build more money and more money and more money. To make sure that every one time the wallet is always $100 over or $200 inside.
I think I would like to jam in here. I think your metaphor about wallet is correct. The $100 over probably signify enough. You have enough for your living, for the life that you want. When you have $5 or $10, it's barely surviving. So I think the point here is we want to strive to have enough. But excess beyond that point, let's say you have $5 million. It's enough for us to live the rest of our life and give our children a good education and prepare them for their future. But beyond the $5 million, if we pursue $50 million, the question is what do we do with the additional $45 million? I think enough is more important. And then beyond that, if you have more than enough, is what do we do with that money? Should we use that money to help other people or do something more meaningful? Or should we buy a Ferrari and then zoom around in the town, right?
So if I may interrupt. So I'm in a very fortunate position where I think I have more than enough. But because I'm chairman of hospitals, actually I meet a lot of patients who have mortgaged everything, sold everything, and they have to pay for their family in hospital.
Yeah.
They can't afford. And they are in debt, So So you are talking 10, or they don't even have 10, minus a few thousand, you know. So they finally come and appeal to me. Then I try to find somebody to finance them. Sometimes they waive it, but our rules say we cannot waive everybody, right? Because people will also take advantage of the system. But there are a lot of people who are poor and miserable everywhere, everywhere in the world, including Singapore. And there are some we have poor patients from Indonesia and Malaysia come to Singapore because their children have leukemia or something. So treated at our NUH hospital. They have already sold their property already. And one case I dealt with, the sister in Singapore had given a guarantee to a loan to pay for that, for her nephew treatment. And now the hospital is going after them. The bank is going after them. I tell you, it's so miserable when you have to deal with cases. So money is important. I agree with you totally. So I'm glad you raised this point, but there are some limits. I'm lucky. I say I'm lucky. I think your president is not lucky.
Very I must confess, I'm one of the luckiest men on earth. Seriously, I'm very rich. I don't have a lot of money, but I'm very rich.
Actually, we must be happy. If you are driven entirely by money, not only will you be greedy, as Kamsek said, after that some of them will cheat, They will find a way to take money which is not theirs. Some of them do, right? I'm sure you know some people who do.
Mr. Chairman, actually I'm very rich, not because of me have a lot of money, because people are always giving me money,
How much? I'm not
Sitting
sure.
there, people give me money.
The other day I took $3 from you to buy the I don't know whether I can't remember. Your hawker center. I never paid you.
You didn't know that was building up interest. How long money? Thanks.
I bought wadi, I remember. Masala wadi. I want to change subject. Next topic, can who's moving?
Technical failure.
What is wrong with you?
Technical failure.
Doesn't matter. Mine is better than yours.
Then you hook it up.
It's okay. It doesn't matter. Just use just only the bottom piece.
Okay.
It's okay.
There's some, his computer is not as good as mine. Actually, this green part in my computer,
You press the wrong button.
doesn't matter.
Coffee break.
No, leave it.
Leave it. You press the
Oh, I pressed the wrong
You
button.
press the green button.
So in my computer, this is all green. Actually, we want to show these three parts: genes, environment, green. All this is just to make it look nice. Except that we want to show that we all think we are what we are because of our genes, which we inherited from our parents, grandparents, and so on. It is very important, the genes we have. But more important than genes, I think, you may not agree with fully, is the environment. So this is nature and nurture. Our Prime Minister LKY Lee Kuan Yew used to talk about nature and nurture. You read the current news and research reports on nature and nurture, you see that many of these reports suggest that nurture is more important than nature. That means, despite our genes, if we live in the wrong environment, we cannot be what we are. It's debatable, but it's not important for today's discussion. But what we normally don't talk about is this word here. Its pronunciation is memes, not me. Not memes, right? The word is memes. What are memes? I think we should go to the next slide. No? Yeah. So a meme, this is a very technical definition of meme. And this guy, Richard Brody, is a guy who invented this word. I think 1973 or 74. He invented this word. And what all this says is that it's something in our mind that it influences our behavior. Very often, this is something that our parents taught us. You must behave this way. in this situation. We must dress like this. Cannot wear shorts or must wear a tie. All these are memes. And memes are actually very, very powerful. It influences our behavior more than the genes and the environment. So one very powerful meme I would like to highlight is the Indian caste system. The Indian caste system has lasted 2000 years or more. So what is the caste system? So when you are born into a caste, you are in this class. So at the bottom of the ranking in India is a class called the Dalits. I'm not wrong. The Dalits are the people who, they're called untouchables. Then right at the top, I think, is the Brahmini, Brahmini class. And each class believes that you live your life in this class. You live it well, your next life you might move up to the next class. And they lived like that for 2000 years. So when India got independence, the government decided we will ban the caste system. It's not allowed. But until today, it's still practiced. So if you read the newspapers over the last 2 months, there are demonstrations in not only in India, but even in UK and so on about this caste system. At one time, some of our Singapore government officials, and we sent them to India in our foreign department, and they had to deal with their Indian counterparts. They were looked down on because they are from a lower class. So in the early days, we didn't realize this. So our government had to make sure that we send somebody of the right class. This is not only in India. It happens here, of course, right? We look down on various people of different classes. And it is very, very common in England. So some years ago, when I was chairman again of some hotels in Singapore.
Did I say you only know how to be a chairman?
So one secretary of an organization I know, she came to Singapore and we were showing her around. So one day I met her and I said, okay, at the time Raffles City was already built. I said, let me take you across to show you Raffles Hotel. So I took her there to Raffles Hotel. At the entrance she stopped. She's an English woman. Obviously she's not from the high class, right? She's from the lower class. I guess, huh? She stood out there. I said, come on. She said, are you sure we can go into this place? I realized that this class distinction was very important to her. There are places we cannot go to. There's a book recently written about a very famous guy from Malaysia. It's called Robert Pook.
Oh, yeah.
Some of you may have read the book. I guess most of you would not have because the book was recently released. If you read his book, Robert Wong was a sugar trader, and in his book he said that when he was trading sugar, he went to London to trade. And he found that there were trading companies in London owned by different Englishmen, right? Some companies cannot trade with any other English trading company. And then he wrote in his book, you know why? Because they are different class, right? So this upper class won't deal with the lower class. The lower class has no access to the upper class. So he said he was in London, he go and see A, upper class, B, lower class. Then he find that there's a difference in the price. He went to make a deal and make a profit. Because he's a foreigner. So they don't care about him, there's no class. So he can see A, he can see B, but their class, it's in his book. So you read his book, it's there, he says, so I make money from this class distinction. Of course, Robert so-called make money from China, from Indonesia, everywhere. He was trading Malaysia everywhere. But his experience in London, he highlighted was this. He made money from a class distinction. I'm going to example. Hey, look at my. Okay, no, I'm okay.
Okay. You want him to go?
So I said that we have different mindsets which we actually teach our children. Our grandfather taught their children taught their grandchildren. It goes on forever. So I'll give you some simple examples. I have a friend, which you can't read. This is the best one because you can't read. At the bottom, Wai Tong. One day I was at a meeting. I took my backpack and I took a lot of my stuff out. And, he was watching me. After the end of the meeting, Wai Tong is 2 years older than me. So at that time I was about 68, he was 70. And he says, "Hey, Yong, you use this backpack. It's very convenient, right?" I said, "Yeah, shit, I got so many things inside." So I said, "Don't you have one?" He said, "No, I don't have one. I don't use backpacks." So I said, "Why don't you use the backpack?" "You know, I will look very funny if I use a backpack." You see how powerful the meme is, controlling him. After he told me it's very useful and so on, he said, "I don't use it because I look funny." My answer to him is, "Wai Tong, you look funny with or without the backpack." Hey, see, you don't say that. Oh, he's my friend. Luckily, he didn't beat me up or something. You know, about 6 months, 1 year later, one day he sent me an email. So I just came back from Thailand, and for the first time, I took a backpack with me. "I should have used it 50 years ago," he said. "It's so useful." But you see how it affected his mind for 40, 50 years? Because he looked funny, he said. I said, "You don't look funny, you look ridiculous." But it's very powerful. Just a thought like this.
So can I
Recently, okay, consent.
A few weeks ago, we were in Bintan playing golf. So,
Bintan?
yeah,
Okay.
with Yong.
good life?
So we were playing white tee, and after the ninth
not so
hole,
good.
then I look at Terry. Nobody behind us, nobody in front of us. Let's be pro. Play the black tee. Black tee is normally played by very good
Competition,
golfers. Competition. And what means?
Means. It's pronounced meme.
So when we go to a black one, because it's a pro, right? So psychologically, we got to up the standard, be calmer, and concentrate. And turn out the last 9 holes was my best because we change, because you are playing the black hole.
Most of you don't play golf, you don't know how to play golf. But I think the point is, the memes affect us in various ways. We must be conscious that there are memes all the time. And we must have the courage to do something like my friend Wai Tong. He used a backpack. Although he looks so ridiculous, right? Actually, nobody really cares what we look like, right? Because when I walked in just now, this morning, nobody bothered. I don't know whether I look funny or not. That's why it doesn't matter.
Yes. Actually, I'd like to check in another
Yeah,
example.
another example.
Memes that you know, many a times you reminded me. From some of us, we came from a humble family. Then from young, our parents always tell us, "Don't waste food. You must finish all the food on the table." Right? Remember that?
Yes.
So those were the days when there was always not enough food for all of us. So we not supposed to waste. But today it's quite different. I carry that meals with me. So whenever we went out with my children, my family for lunch or dinner, there's a tendency to order more than we need. And then end up there's some surplus, some extra food. So for me, I always say, hey, finish it. And then when they don't finish, I was the one eating. And that's why that explains my size. So it's interestingly, I did the same thing with chairman and chief when we went out for morning walk and then go for breakfast. I will make sure every bit of food on the table is finished. In fact, sometimes when they don't finish, I feel like taking their food and eat. The chairman said, why do you do that? I said, no, don't waste food. He said, but you are now hurting your body, by eating more food than you need. So that's no good. I said, no, we are taught to be, not to waste food. And that was the meme because, by eating the extra food, actually no good for me. Then now I have to engage a very professional weight management coach to manage my weight.
You can see he's doing quite well. I want to understand that point. He tried to eat the food which is left there because it's wasted, he said. But actually after you eat it, it's also you waste it in a different form. On top of that, you get sick, you get overweight. You go and cause yourself all these problems for nothing. So the change we have to make in our mind is don't order so much food. Start from the beginning.
But
CIO.
But there is a counter means that is working against that. Because during the time when you're young, I think everybody greet each other, "Jia ba boy." Yeah. Correct? Yeah. Then you get that memes very deep-seated in your mind. And then one day you have the founder, Prime Minister, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew say, when you have food, you better be 70% bar. Huh?
Yeah.
It's changing your memes. Right? So after a while, you will teach your children differently, right? So 讲话 came from the time of scarcity. Because most of our parents have been through the wars, where there is a lot, you don't have enough food to feed.
You go to rich countries, nobody asks you, have you eaten?
Nobody will ask you that. So this is a powerful means that we are having. And I don't know up to what extent that has affected him, because he wants to be bar.
It's a political point. So sometimes when we deal with our colleagues and so on, you tell them, you must learn to think out of the box. Actually, we just simply say something like this. It's actually not easy for that person to think out of the box because his thinking is affected by all these memes. You take time. So you must give time and you must lead them step by step. Very often it's like this. So if you have experience with computer system. So I grew up with the old system. Of course now I got iPad, iPhone and so on. In the old computer system, whenever you introduce a new software, you have to reboot your computer. It's not just that new software idea, no. The new idea affects all your other software. So you reboot the whole thing. So when you have this meme which you realize now, I should not do this, you've got to rethink everything. Not only that particular incident, you'll be surprised how many things it has affected. I'm saying this very easily, but it's a challenge to try to remember, this actually affected so many of my decisions and the way I led my life. It affects many things.
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I got this question. Coming back to your thinking out of the box. Okay, I do understand under the normal pretext of the current working system, everybody has been encouraged, or most of the time has been encouraged to think out of the box.
Yes.
Which will bring forth better ideas and a different way of looking at things. Most of the time, we will try to think out of the box. But sometimes, when we think out of the box, we are being brought back into the box. That makes the situation even worse. One moment you're told to think out of the box. When you think out of the box, you're bring back into the box. So it makes decision making even worse.
I would like to recommend, because this is very common, what you experience, I also experience. And the person who asks you to think out of the box, usually, he just simply say, actually he doesn't even understand how difficult it is to think out of the box.
Not true, not true.
Not true.
Not true.
Oh, that's one. Oh, I'm sorry.
Johnny, like that. Like that.
But no, I tell you this, I have been in leadership positions, right? I try, after I realize it, I try very hard not to just say you think out of the box. But I know in the back of my mind, the idea of thinking out of the box is actually very good. But to get our colleagues together with us to think out of the box, we must plan for it. Right? It must be engineered, although I don't like that word very much. You must plan for it step by step. It has got to do with the process. And one very important process is to state your values, to state your mission, vision, and then state a plan. And then there must be very open discussion. Everybody, you disagree, you must say you disagree. You disagree, you keep quiet, you say, the boss always talking nonsense, right? But you don't say anything. Nothing will happen, you know. You just dislike the fellow and nothing, you can never think out of the box. But if you say, this boss always talking rubbish. If you explain what this rubbish is about, the boss, sometimes they explain to you, oh, actually, you might realize that you think wrongly. I don't know. Or you might be able to convince the boss. Actually, you didn't understand me, or whatever, right? There must be a very open discussion. Easier said than done. Always. And then the meme is very, very hard to change.
Yeah,
We must remember every meme, we are stuck with it.
that's right. Let's try to unstuck.
Yeah, it's a challenge. But I've tried many places. I've got some success. Not 100% success, but even you get a little bit successes, you find it's tremendous, you know. You see doctors, oh yeah, this is my favorite area because I've been in health for a long time. Doctors used to think, this is what they study medicine. A person is born with this number of cells in their brain. As they get older, it becomes less and less and less. About 20 years ago, only 20 years ago, it was discovered that this is not true. There are new cells all the time. You know, this is a tremendous impact on the way they treat patients. I don't want to go through all that, it's another long story, but many things in medicine, bacteria, for example, we used to think, all this bacteria cause this, cause that, or kill all the bacteria. The new thinking is, we need the bacteria. Right? I'm sure you have read some of these reports. And you need some, you don't need others. And sometimes you need a certain ecosystem, a combination of you. It's very different from the old days. Old days, they just wipe out all the bacteria, germs. Nowadays, no longer so. But many doctors grew up in the old days, kill all germs. Very powerful names. I overextended my time. I'm sure. President. Have I finished? You are the done, huh? Okay. I'm going to pass you to Wong Fook. New topic.
Congratulate yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. You have been a great listener. A great listener. And it just merged nicely into my listening segment.
New topic.
We listen in many, many varied situations. Correct? Sometimes you listen for enjoyment. Sometimes you listen to humor yourself. Listen to a joke. Sometimes You listen like this morning, listen for information. As you know, as I go down the list, the listening become more deliberate and more serious. When you listen for enjoyment, I term that casual listening. Sometimes you listen this way in, this way out, okay. Enjoyment, you miss that, okay. But you see in the lecture theatre, then you're listening for information now, you go be more attentive, right? So as you know that as you go down the list, like listening to learn something, like some of you do this morning, you listen very attentively. And that's the reason why I congratulate all of you. You are listening very attentively. But then, even more important is the last one. You are listening to assess whether we can trust that person. Because today, we are living in a very complex, deceptive world, right? You have got what? Alternative truths. You have got, I don't know what. Okay?
Fake news.
Fake news, yeah.
Altering.
Whatever. Altering. She is better than. Okay, I think what is most important is to assess whether I can trust the person, right? This is going to be life and death. And I think because Chairman was mentioning the Robert Koch's probe, I think that memo, he also highlighted many a time he will look at a person and he say whether I can trust that person, can I do business with him. Sometimes he assessed the person correctly, but he also made some mistakes. Now, how do we do that? Actually, when you go to the more serious listening, you need to do something like this. Now, actually, you see, the ancient Chinese, they are they have got great wisdom and great intelligence. So much so that they're embedded in the traditional Chinese character called Ting. The guy.
Let me interrupt you.
Yeah.
These two words thing is a calligraphy written by a very well-known calligrapher that you all know. Written by Wong Fook.
Thank you very much. And written at different times. One, I think about maybe 10 years ago, and one maybe about 1 or 2 years ago. So I was writing the wisdom of Ting and using, I would say, quite powerful stroke to signify Ting, but actually I should have written it with not so much the powerful stroke. But what is more important is, Chairman always like to illustrate. I think he's now trying to illustrate. How is the wisdom embedded in this word called Ting? Okay? You see, you look at Ting, it has got various radicals. The Chinese call radical. Well, of course, when you think, you need to use your ear, right? Is that? You see that? Sorry.
No. You understand Chinese, yeah?
You understand Chinese?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the. I'm not paying attention to you because you may have difficulty at all. So I'm saying this. You understand Chinese, or this is now. That means you listen with your ears. But more than that, embedded in this is the wisdom that you should also listen with your eyes, and not just one eye, one pair of eyes. That's a form. This is 10, right? This cross is a 10.
Pointer.
This cross is a 10. But it's written in a more cursive way. Now, actually, you have to turn this radical around. It's actually I. Rotate,
90 degrees
rotation. You become, listen to your hair, your ears, and 10 eyes, 5 pairs of eyes. For us, 2 pairs, like me, spectacle, 2 pairs. Not enough. And 5 pairs. And then listen with 1 half. This is half. Not just that. What is more important is that you listen as if that the other person is the emperor. What do you do when you listen to the emperor? You don't listen carefully. You can be beheaded. No. No joke. So this one. This is most important. The final reticle sitting right at there. Right? So, what it says here is that when you listen with great empathy. And empathy comes from where? Heart. Now I was at there was this forum. It was co-organized by Straits Times, SPGG actually, and Sims University. There was one guy who asked. I think some of you read in the newspaper. It is about how education has been disrupted. And they were thinking of how to deal with this disruption in education. You know that education got disrupted, right? Now e-learning is one disruption. There are many other. Now you can go to university without attending university. You go to Coursera, for instance. You can learn anything without going there. So it means, I digress a bit. But at the end of that, there was one chap who asked, you see, what is the problem with students and graduates today? They listen only to the question that people ask, but they don't understand what the questioners really wants. You see, sometimes I ask you a question, you tell me what you ask a question. But if I don't listen with great empathy, I may not know exactly what you want, because you might not even frame the question properly. So that is a skill that you can only acquire if you listen with great empathy. Now when you read somebody giving you a text form, that is something else. But if you read the text with great empathy, you read between the lines. You heard of this expression, right? Read. So this is important. Now, this is the old script, traditional script, where you use your ears, your eyes, your heart, and everything, all your functional system to put into operation to listen, right? But then, lo and behold, somebody come along and say, no, this is no good. Now, things should be written this way. Simplify. You know what is this? Oh, this is a mouse. This is a mouse. This one. This is one. This is Gina. One catty. One catty signifies what? Signify giving weightage. Weightage. So what the more modern form of the Chinese script throw the wisdom of the old ancient Chinaman out of the window and say, please, don't listen, don't need to listen with the ears and 10 eyes and 1 heart and pretend that you are in front of the emperor, but just listen with your mouth. So before the guy can finish talking, the other side say, I'm listening to you, but it's not talking. You understand what I'm saying? And the emphasis is on the mouth. And therefore, Chairman just now say, right? He say, I've got a story to tell. I have to go back. You know where I go, lah. Yeah, correct. So, just now, Chairman said, I carved this woman. He did it purposefully. Eyes closed, no ears, and mouth wide open. Mouth wide open, no ears. There's no ears, right? As compared to the old script. Emphasis on it. So, we are now with very, very subtly we are telling our young, by teaching them this so-called simplified script, that only to listen with your ears. Don't need to use your heart to listen. Just open your mouth. Can you listen? Sometimes you do. So, what is important in all these things is this. Now, when we listen, do serious listening, please listen using the old Chinese script, the traditional script. Then don't do it with just the mouth. Thank you very much.
So you may continue from there. So Wong Fook is not only a very good calligrapher, as you can see just now. We tried to do something like that. I gave up. But I want to tell a slightly different story. An extension of what our chief has discussed. I showed this to my daughter, and my daughter laughed. He says, "Dad, you know, you keep on telling us all these stories so many times. Before you can finish, I already talked. That's the new way of listening. That's why you got this mouth there cold. Before you finish, I talk. This is the new way of listening."
Correct.
So we say all these young people, before I can tell them, they already talk, they're not listening to me. But don't take this too literally and without some sense in it. Because to actually listen properly, you must, like our colleague here, talk. You must ask a question. If you agree, you must say, "Oh, I agree with you." Then if you want to give an example, please give an example. Then I can say, this is what I was trying to say. Or you can talk and say something else. Say, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. Then it gives me a chance to explain it again. So actually, to listen well, you have to listen as though I'm the emperor, right? That means undivided, but you must also question me. So that I also can do my part. Do you understand me? Right? If you don't understand, you can say whatever you like. Don't think that you will be stupid or ridiculous or whatever it is. Just say it. Then I will assess whether I have to say it again or say it differently. And both parties will then benefit from the discussion. So the new way of writing, you cannot ridicule it completely.
Should we like this?
I think you should do a calligraphy.
I just wrote,
For SPGG.
this is not bad, because it balances, you see?
You read also.
This, what chairman is saying, that this should be to remind ourselves that when you listen, you need also to clarify. Also need the mouth to clarify. So he's trying to say that. But I just coined a new word.
Actually, that's quite true, because in the olden day, when you were listening, especially listening to the superior, you are to be seen and not to be heard. So you only hear. That's why you emphasize on the ear, the heart, and the eyes, but not so much on the mouth. In today's world, the young people, they are more vocal. And also, as chairman suggested, they used to seek gratification, and that's why you use your mouth. So both are not exactly wrong, but just different era, different applications. Okay?
So I think I agree with Wong Fook. You need to do both.
Yeah, need to do both.
Are we done for a break?
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen.
I hear this also, I see this.
Yeah.
I see this.
You see this break?
Purpose of SPGG. You get the traditional one or
But different versions, some are okay, both. Here the traditional one first.
is cut off for the alumni, SP alumni, yeah, membership, facilities for the graduates and networking card.
Hey, Luma, deduct salary.
Why? After the rest of
We'd like to just do a survey For those of you in IT and so on will have seen this picture. Have you seen this, Corey?
Yeah.
Many of you would have seen this, but there are also many of you here who have never seen this.
Yeah.
So there is a question. Is there, what is the color of this dress? It could be
Anything.
blue and black. Those of you who see light blue and black, can you raise your hands?
Light blue and
One,
black. Wow, 1, 2, 3,
1, 2,
4, 5, 6, 7,
8,
1,
okay,
2,
9.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Those of you who see light blue and gold or brown or bronze. So do you notice what's happening? About 40% of us see this as light blue and gold or brown.
Yeah.
And then 60% sees it as black and light blue. I asked my wife, she says it's black and light blue. So it's the same thing, we see differently. It's very hard to believe, right?
There's
You know,
also
my brother is an artist. One day I showed him this picture. Then his daughter said, wow, this is light blue and gold. Then he said, you don't know how to talk. This is not gold, right? So he thought that idea of gold or brown or bronze is different. But we realized, I showed him that as an artist, you know that we all see your painting differently. We just see a different color. So how can we communicate with each other? We even see, our chief said, right? Got 10 eyes now, we get to see. 5 pairs of eyes. And we see a different thing. So one of us could say, I saw this thing happen. But somebody else see it differently. So we see this differently. It's quite amazing. Similarly, we can hear things differently. We think we hear the same thing, actually, worse still, because we have all these memes that affect us. When I say something, you actually receive what I said with your own background, and you interpret it differently. But this example, we will see differently. Do a poll again, let's get whether I got it right, 40%. So black and blue.
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Black and blue. You can't believe, right? Because yesterday we were checking the slide, the three of us. The three of us say it's obvious, well, this is
Light blue and
light
gold.
blue and gold.
Where's the gold?
That's a goal.
Yeah, you see. So I said, I want to show this slide. He said, what's the point? Everybody will say light and gold. 70% now, actually, see black and blue. Something wrong with you.
Something wrong with the three of you.
Sufficient number of say this is black. This is black, right? You see.
Yes.
Definition of black begin to change. Then I better follow suit, right? You ask me a few more times, then I see black also. You understand what I'm saying? Think about it. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying.
This is so obvious an example.
You see.
I tell you how this story, for those who don't know the background, how this story came up. This woman went to a shop to buy a dress because her daughter was going to get married. She wanted to dress very well. Then she wore this dress she liked. This is the dress. Then she took a picture, WhatsApp the message to her daughter. I bought this dress. I think it's very beautiful. The daughter's replied, why are you wearing a black dress to my wedding? And she says, I never bought a black dress, I bought a gold dress. This one, to her eyes, is blue and gold.
Yeah.
But the doctor said, why you buy a black dress? This is a story, right?
That's right.
It's amazing.
And then it went viral on internet.
You went viral, yeah. You go to internet, you Google, you can get this dress.
Actually, they did a poll. It's about 50-50.
Yeah, but today we are 70,
70, 30 like that.
There's 70% something wrong.
You know, my wife this morning, I asked her again just to be sure. You asked me so many times already, black and blue.
What is it?
Okay.
I asked you.
No, I asked my wife last night.
Oh.
She says Owen light blue.
Yeah, she's like you.
I'm not sure that's a compliment.
I go on to the next one. He's yours already. Okay. I was just trying to show you this which I thought was very interesting.
That one, yeah. I went on it.
Thank you, Chairman. You know what? Chairman thought I will not survive the session immediately after lunch. If I continue with values, you all will all go to sleep. So I say, Chairman, I help you. Don't worry. I'm going to do this poll where it is active participation, requires active participation by all, right?
Jerry.
So you all will not fall asleep. So thank you, Chairman. I'm going to talk about serious stuff now.
Hey, don't make it too boring.
I'm going to talk about serious stuff now. This is the hard part. This is, a lot of people say, what I'm going to cover are the soft part. Soft meaning value. What is a soft, right? But usually, there is also a rejoinder. Soft part is the hard part, usually. Values. Now what are values? It can be personal values. I read to you a series of them. Self-discipline, personal integrity, I'm not really looking, care and concern, openness, responsibility, excellence, and so forth. These are personal values. Do they look familiar? Anyone say familiar? It's a trick question. Familiar? No? I failed. I failed terribly. I spent 12 years of my life.
That's pretty common everywhere.
Yeah.
Come out and say, is it right?
Oh, well done, Kuri.
Good man.
You can keep your diploma.
You know what? You know what?
Keep the diploma.
You know what? My first job as the principal was this hard part of setting up values for Singapore Poly. There is this gentleman who is a professional chairman. Asked me to go and better and sort out the values of Singapore Poly. Then behind my mind I said, Singapore Polytechnic at that time, it was 42 years old, 4 years younger than your SPGG. Today, of course, Singapore Polytechnic must be ahead of you. Of course, Singapore Poly now is already 64 years old. 64, yeah. Right? You are already young. So the thing is this. So you got an easy job. Young. But at that time, when I was doing it, it was 42. I shouldn't say I do it. Actually, I and our colleagues, including Eugene's father, we are all doing it together. So, you know what I say? For an organization that is now, at that time, 42 years old, it must have values. Otherwise, you wouldn't have survived these 40 odd years, right? How can you have no values? Then I say, it is embedded somewhere. Let me discover those values. It's not my values, but it's our values. It is the organizational values that are already being practiced. And if you look hard enough, you will see it in documents. So what did we do? So Eugene father and I and some other colleagues, about 20 over lots of them, begin to look at, really, go to the archives, look at all the files that might contain statements of values. What are these? Minutes of meeting, things that we discuss, board papers, and we begin to underline. And mind you, it was dusty, a lot of papers were all brown in color. But sometimes I asked them to wear masks because I was from safety and health. I said, please wear a mask. If not, you get something, I don't know what, material. We saw through many files and folders. And then, what was the job? We begin to underline words that are value charged. What did come up? Integrity. What came up? Discipline. Of course, when you are running an institution like Singapore Poly, what do you see? Discipline, right? So it's all over discipline. So we did that. And these guys, most of us, engineer, very scientific. We do statistical analysis. Oh, serious. We do frequency chart. What is the one that come out with the highest frequency? Right? And us agree or not? Cannot say don't agree lah, because objectively it is there. It is evidence-based. Later on I learned from the medical care, the healthcare, evidence-based and important. Okay, you cannot say you have this, but no evidence. So we did that. So after that, we begin to rank. These values are the 6 that is highest in ranking. There are of course the 7 and the 8 of that. So what did you do? Then we say, wow, then we have jamming session. We have a lot of jamming session. We spend hours. And then I look at it. In the end, we came up with integrity, discipline, then care. I think concern was not there. Then open-mindedness of what? Something like responsibility was there. Excellence was there. So we are trying to figure out how can we make our people remember this very clearly. Then I remember Yim Jianhua. I still remember the lady's name. You say, why don't we put it in a way with an acronym that can be easily remembered? So we say, you had it, you don't see the pattern. Then she said, very, very easy. Put self in front of discipline. Put P, personal, in front of integrity. So I got the 4 speed at SPGG. Right? The rest fall in place, right? Can you help me?
I already wrote SP for
Oh, self-discipline. And not just that, we begin to then have a module called character development. At first it was called character education. Student comes up, principal, they didn't cannot call me chief. They say, principal, I'm now 18, 19 years old. You say I have no character? You want to teach me character? How can? I say, no, I don't do character education. I changed the name, I decided together with my team to change the name. We call it character development. So you know what? We have to convince them, right? And they kept quiet because when I said, at that time I said, I'm now 55 years old. I still have room to improve my character, right? So I can take this course called character development because I'm far from perfect. So they kept quiet. So they said, okay, we'll do character. So in the end, what we believe is, because you want the student to share the same value as a staff, all the staff you must get buy-in first, right? Then after that, you must teach it. Now when you teach it in an education setting, what is important? Curriculum. You must do it through curriculum. Something that you have to pass. So that was the story. But today, I'm very sad because it didn't seem to work.
No, you have 50% of the students that graduate that know about it.
Is it?
Not bad, no.
But one thing I'm very happy is that it still remains there. If you say SP core value, you Google it, it's still Singapore Polytechnic.
Wow.
Correct? So it has a life of already 20 over years. So that I must say that when I was asked to do the job, I didn't know what was the reason why the chairman asked me to do. No, I was grumbling a bit. I say, why ask me to do all this very boring thing. No?
Yeah, I'm only civil servant.
But after I've done it, and I will explain it later, why values are of such importance.
Yeah.
When I came in, when I came into this place, I know values was important in another sense. Because I have seen people come to grief because they do shortcut. They don't live the value. I have seen people who die because people don't live the value.
Yeah.
Spiros is one, for example. There are many other cases where people cut corners, no integrity, didn't say what they do, didn't do what they say, and as a result, people get killed. So values are important. That was important. But now in education institution, I said, I have to think again. But eventually I learned that it's very powerful for the student who will later become foremen, become chief captains of industry, who will be looking after safety and health, who will be doing a lot of other things in trades and business. If they don't have good values, what happens to Singapore? Today, you look around, all the awful bike, all the old bike, being thrown around everywhere. What happened? No responsibility. Right? So sad, you know. So important. Sorry, I now really, Chairman will say, too academic. Better be faster. Now, I want to say this. I didn't say. An organization has values too, right? Stated or unstated. Yeah. Now, I was having a discussion with the President. He said, we have yet to say SPGG values. But after you listen to me just now, does SPGG have or don't have value? Let me assert that you have value. Absolutely. You need to discover it. And I think the journey is for you to discover it. It is going to be an exciting journey. Think it through. But let me say this. There is no such thing as no values. Because if you all know physics, physics says what? There is one law. Nature affords a vacuum. Now you give a vacuum value, people is going to put something there, and people is going to impute value of your organization by looking at how this group behaves. They will impute. You like it or not. But if you don't state it, then you can have variation of one person very good, live up to certain values, the other one variation, right? So you must well state it. If not, the people down there will take it in their hands and they will behave in a way as if these are their values. So sorry, So the organization has value, but it may be stated, not stated. Now, an organization may not live its stated values. I give you an example. Actually, this example that we used to be. You remember one company called Enron?
Yes.
Enron. You know what is the value of Enron? Very good. Stated value, very good. If you go, I think if you hit the top, I think one is respect. Respect. One is integrity. Integrity was there. There's a C called communication. There's an E called excellent. Now you look at it, it shares two of our SV core value, integrity and excellence. But at the end of the day, did they live their values? If they had lived the values, Enron wouldn't have come to grief. And at the same time, Enron, I think some of you forgot that, brought down Arthur Anderson, another big international auditing company. So you see now the gravity of, not leaving the stated value. So when you read the values stated, you must read in between the lines maybe now to see whether this person, this organization can be trusted to do what they say and say what they do. Now this brings to the next point, which is saying, does the organization walk the talk? What is walking the talk? Chairman invented the the reverse. The chance of the organization walking the talk is high if the organization begin by talking the walk. And think about it again, very tricky, this one. Walk the talk and talk the walk. What is the difference? Actually, when you talk the walk,
You advocate.
we begin collectively to agree on certain route to take. If we agree, we actually talk the walk, the chances of your collectively walk the talk will be higher, right? Because why? You get all the buy-in.
Yeah.
So I think what is needed, if you want to go and do this, what they call, discover our value, like what SV did, we as a team many years ago, was that actually we talk the walk, talk the value. Then after that, you walk the talk.
Mr. Principal, may I?
Chief.
Mr. Chief Inspector, yeah. You say that this was the SP core value was researched, buy-in, and created more than 10 years ago. And
22 years ago,
22 years ago. Okay.
22.
So what happened? What happened over this year? How come this SP core value somehow seems to exist but not so exist?
I failed. I didn't do succession planning.
You weren't there.
I didn't do succession planning well. You asked a very good question. Very, very good question. Let me point to one example of where the value seems to be alive year after year after the the chap who founded the value has not the CEO. Some of you know of this gentleman called Kazuo Inamore. Who is Kazuo Inamore? Yeah. This gentleman is...
Chairman knows him.
He knows. Sure, he knows. He is the founder of one company called Kyocera. Kyocera. It's supposed to be a ceramic company. Later on, he also founded a company called KDDI. Okay? And this gentleman, later, he came in as the person who turned around JAL within 1 year from bankruptcy, turn it around and make it profitable within, I think, 1 or 2 years. Okay? Now this guy, first, for the values to be alive and survive, first must be simple. Don't tell talk and bull story like me. His value, only 4 words. I like to do this. Respect. Respect what? Divine. Poor. And love. People. In Chinese, right? Can write here. Our people like to use the whole script 心在这边对不对？
对。
敬天爱人。
敬天爱人。Respect the divine and love the people.
Actually, island is also wife.
He Japanese, island got different meaning. You're reading as a kanji, my friend. So, Imori-san, you know this? You know what he did? He year in, year out, because his company span across different continents and countries, he will do a 3 days conference to talk about the values. And he will talk ceaselessly, without ending. And every talk of it, he called everybody every year for gathering. And he only talk about respect, the divine, and love the people. And if these four words of core value, they survive years after years. And you can see, and then you go to the internet, you don't believe me? Just write 今天爱人 and you see what you get. Or respect the divine and love the people. Very simple, straightforward. So the thing is, this Imori-san, he has to hang in the company for years after years. I served 12 years. Not enough. But the way to do it is succession planning. If we have gotten people who have been through the journey, who have talked the walk, the chances of the thing surviving is higher.
To support, to echo what you said,
Yes.
I think it's
We are recording.
Nanyang till today is the top school. It's because they got the first principal that served over 20 to 30 years.
Yeah.
The other school is Sanic. Same thing, they have a good principal that served almost a generation to 5 years. So the value really penetrate and ingrain into everybody.
Not enough time to check.
Okay.
I wish I was younger when you can. So, very important. So, I don't know. Now, I'm not saying anything. Now, we begin our principle beginning to go and have a terms of, now in school, 6 years, 5 years. If you come up with a value, I mean, that's one consideration, whether you survive. Now, I want to continue. Its value should be in line with the vision, mission, expectation of the members of the organization. What does it mean? Let me go on. I want to show this slide. This slide I had last night. Sorry. I
saw that.
I thought I want to give
everyone.
I want to give a pictorial representation. And mind you, on this slide is not new, no? It's not new. It was a slide that again, Chairman asked me to do. 2012. We were in Jurong Health. We were doing the Ng Teng Fong Hospital. And whenever Chairman looks, he's going to start off with values first. So when he asked them to do value, I say, here he goes again. He's going to ask them to do values. Terrible fellow. Now he got to SPGG, you know what he's going to do. Sorry, I put a bit of humor, jamming has to be like that, right?
Mr. Lu, it's all your fault.
My fault. So this thing is this, you see, what is important? The values are actually aligned. If the values are all shared and aligned, you will collectively create a culture
I see.
that will favor to give a conducive environment for you to hit the target, which is your mission and your vision. That is the whole aim of it. That's the reason why when you have got the values, we always talk about the Trinity, which is, what is the Trinity? M, V, right? Some people say V, M, V, right? Don't argue about whether it should be MVV or VMV. That one is a different story. We need another session of jamming. Forget about that. You know what I mean? Okay, good.
Okay, now you got it.
Now, let's move on.
What is MVP? Not everybody might be on tune with you.
You know what?
Mission.
I like to go say. You say. What is MVV?
Mission, vision, value.
What is VMV?
I guess it's the other way around. Vision, mission, value.
Very good. Very good.
English a little bit, yeah?
You have been doing the thing. You have been doing the thing. You have been practicing the traditional script.
He's jamming already.
Very good. The chairman asked me to ask this so that there is a reaction from the crowd. Very good.
I can blame you afterwards.
The question you ask is, when you come to an individual, I rely on his integrity and competence to do what he promises. Very important. Yesterday, when we were discussing this slide, Chairman told me that you cannot just say integrity. Whether the chap is able to do it is also an element of whether you can trust him or not. He may have got all the, what do you call it? He wants to do intention. He has got the integrity to do so, but he's not able to deliver because he's not trained. Maybe he doesn't have the resources or whatever. So he said, when you look at a person, he said, does he have the integrity and also the ability means competence to do it? Yes. Right? A lot of people who have good intention but cannot deliver. You still cannot trust him. Right? Second, will he tell the truth? Now this is important. Then how do you know whether he's telling the truth? Listen to him. Look at him when you talk to him. Actually, there was this writer who said, actually, Bill Clinton, when he tells lies, he had got some very micro kind of his eyes, You know what happened is this person who noticed it, want to ask him to correct it. Bill Clinton said, I don't want. But today, with our present president, not you, US president, Mr. Trump, he doesn't care whether he wins or not. He just tells it as it is. Whether truth or lies is alternate facts. Okay, so very important now whether he's telling the truth. Is it safe for him to act based on is it safe for me to act based on his information? You've heard the story about Nathan Rothschild, right? He walked to the thing, he saved people once, right? Now next time, he do it again. He does it again. Would you believe him? It is safe to base sometimes perceived information. If even Nathan Rothschild say to you next time that sell or buy, you will not believe him. You will not trust him. Right? Can he be depended on to look after my thing? This is straightforward. Is he if it is appointed leader, will he be able to perform? This is very important for all managers. People whom you have subordinate. To whom who has subordinate. Okay? Very important. Now, at the organizational level, can I rely on the organization to deliver what its promises? Is actually just about parallel this. It's a mirror of this. More specifically, does the organization have the means, competent people, personnel, and good systems? Say for instance, MRT say, I'm going to make our system more reliable. You trust them? You cannot say you trust lah. It's a big organization. They will get, but the first question you ask in your mind will be, do they have the people? Do they have the good system? After the signaling system broken down, right? I'm not saying they can or cannot, but I'm just saying that in your mind, you will go through your mind this and consider and weigh this when you determine whether you can trust what they say, what they promise, right? This is how people, in people's mind, people are going to do that. If I sell something to the organization, will I get paid on time? Or worse, don't pay me at all. Not just on time, they don't pay me at all. Can I give the person credit? Can I invest in the organization? These are a whole host of. Now, you may say that SPGG is not in an investment company. Why do I care whether people look at me and want to invest in my company or in my organization? I think indeed it's important, right? You want to join them, you want to join. You want to determine whether I want to invest my time. Investment can be financial, can be time, can be whatever. Okay, let's move on. So I just covered what? Just values, trust, interdependency. Now this is important. It is quite common and it is quite natural as a life cycle for a person to go through dependence, being very dependent, then independent, right? As a baby, every one of us depends on the parents to look after us, to take care of us. It's natural, first step. Then after that, the parents will, together with the schools and education system, try their best to get the child to grow to become independent. But after that, I would say not so much effort is being made to ensure that this person is going to be grown to become an interdependent individual. Agree or not? Because interdependence, the idea, actually came about much later than being an independent, become a dependent individual. And a lot of people will stop at the stage of being independent. You know why? You know why? Because it's a very nice feeling. When you're independent, first as a teenager, as an adult, I have autonomy. I have freedom to act. Understand? You have freedom to act because autonomous. I tell you a story. This happened with individuals as well as with departments and organizations. Can you relate a department wanting to be independent? Say for instance, I just go take I am the finance department. Do I need to work with the personnel HR department? The department may say no, right? Because I want to keep my autonomy. I give you another example. At the time when I was there was a need to produce or to come up with hybrid courses. What do you mean by hybrid course? Information technology. Is there such a course? You know, information technology has to be created through the cooperation of two schools. One is School of IT. One is School of Business. Especially you say business IT, right? Oh, you know what's happened? The School of Business say I'm independent. The School of IT say I'm independent. How do I want to work with you? Do I want to work with you? If I work with you, I have to sacrifice something, you know. I'm autonomous now. I can decide what to teach in the course of, say, called business administration. Likewise, the School of IT can decide everything that they wish to teach in the school of in the course called IT design programming, for instance. You can decide everything. So I was so frustrated one day. I said, but I see that they are struggling to cooperate with each other. And at one of the staff rally, I asked an open question. I said I could see both schools struggling to produce hybrid courses. Do you all wish the help of the other? I didn't say exactly which school. I said, I see that you all are struggling to cooperate to come up with hybrid courses. Which departments need help? As I said, need help by another school. You know what happened? Like just now, we do a poll. No one hand was raised. Yeah. Why? Because people see if I need to be interdependent, I am not self-sufficient. If I'm not self-sufficient, I'm weak. Right? If I say I'm interdependent, I have to listen to your tune. Why do you want me to do that? So there are hurdles to cross to gain interdependence. Not natural, it's not natural. Not like from transiting from dependency to independent is more natural. But this one has got a hump. You're talking about a hump, and you need to have a bigger goal at the end to motivate you to do. And I'll tell you what this bigger goal, bigger prize is going to be in the next slide. Hold that on. Okay. But interdependence will work only in situation, you see, it doesn't work in all situations. Win-win, not win-lose or lose-win. Because if I'm doing a hybrid course, if I'm to give up something for you, I may not, I'm going to suffer, right? If it is a, what I call, zero-sum game. Zero-sum game, meaning that what I win is what you lose. What you lose is what I win. That typically will create a situation that will not naturally create interdependence. So you need to grow the pie. You need to have win-win. You know? So there is a prerequisite. Only when you have got a win-win situation, only then everyone will benefit and sharing with the other the good things that he has. That is important. How to be interdependent? There's some prerequisite. Openness. You must openly communicate with it. I say talk the walk, right? Sharing and group learning. I want to share with you very quickly. And the other prerequisite is you must have group learning. I want to share with you the story of the Rick Robbins group tip lines and the milk water. The story goes like that. Now this is group tip lines, right? This is Rick Robbins. These are your the group of
This is left.
yeah, this is right.
Robin
This is Robin,
the
right?
top one.
This is also tip lines. This tip lines.
The black one is the magpie robin, which is a local bird.
Local one. So
Taken
this
by our friend Rochi.
I see. So these are the two relevant birds. Now why I want to tell this story? Okay, these two birds, these two species of bird, actually are common garden. There were these two species of birds who come to the garden of UK and England. And the story goes like this. I think many of you, if you have watched old movies of British movie, you have seen many of such scenes. The milkman coming on a truck early in the morning, deliver pine bottles on the doorstep of the household, right? That's a common scene, right? Now what happened? Actually, what you don't usually see, is that these two species of garden birds, one is the Rick Robbins, the other one is the blue-tip mouse. Blue-tip mouse, actually.
Nice.
Tip mouse, then
Mouse and
plural becomes
nice
plural.
plural.
Mice is a plural, mouse is a singular. So these two species of bird will come, and then at that time the bottle was open. It's an open bottle with no cap. The bottle is the one that is shown on the left. This bottle. So imagine this open bottle. The blue-tip mice and the red robin will suck up and siphon the cream. Why? Because it's floating on top, it's a cream. They were well nourished. That was historically happened every day. Then between the two world wars, around 1940, between the two world wars, 1930s, technology disrupted the whole thing because the bottle now comes with a cap, aluminum foil cap. Now, after this, both species of birds don't know how to pack open the aluminum foil, and they will be deprived of the cream that they used to have. So the size of this bird began to shrink, I suppose, because they have lack of nourishment already. And then, around the 50s, after the war, suddenly we find that the blue-tip mice, as a whole population, I think 1 million of them I thought, during that time, learn and know how to pack open the aluminum foil and continue to siphon off the cream. Whereas the red robins, as a frog, did not know how to do it. Although occasionally, one or two birds, red robin, they could do it. But as a frog, they cannot do it. So people begin to be very interested in it and begin to ask questions. Why is this different in behavior? And they begin to look at the behavior and the habits of these two species of birds, and they found the following. Actually, the blue titmice, they all flock together. They will come to the gardens as a flock. They are not territorial birds like the red robin. The red robins, what happens is this, will come as the female and the male bird will come, and if there is another female or male bird come, they chase them away. So as a result, what happens? They don't learn. They don't learn as a flock. So birds flock together. So what is the message for us? We're learning from the birds. So we must learn like the titmice and never the red robin. Now I move on very quickly. Just like I say, why you want to do interdependency, right? I say you have to struggle and to give up your autonomy and all that. What do you do that for? The prize is synergy. Now bear in mind this. Why the arrows are all running? Sorry, the arrows should be here. My apology, should be here. Each supporting the others, right? Now, actually, what is important is that we must always bear in mind that each of us as an individual has limited capacity, has limited wisdom, has limited intellect. We cannot do things on our own. Now, today is such a multidisciplinary society, or everything that you do is multidisciplinary. Already, when I was still principal, I realized that this was happening at great speed. So one of what I was asking the lecturers to do then was that, please teach your student, every one of them, to be jack of all trades, meaning many disciplines, right? That sounds bad, right? Jack of all trades. That means neither here nor there, right? Then I add jack of all trades and master of at least one or two. Master of at least one or two. This is what the T-man, you all know the T-man, right? I don't have time to explain the T-man. It's all about, right? Breath and depth. You must have breath and depth. But however you train a person with great depth and great breath, it is not sufficient to solve all the problems that you can find. I'll give you a classic case. SARS. Does SARS respect
No one.
discipline? Respect nobody. Respect no discipline. Comes, it just hit you. So if you are not, you are not self-sufficient. I used the word self-sufficient before, and you don't have the multidisciplinary breadth to every one of us don't have to tackle all the problems. What do you have to do? You work with other people. Work as a team. Right? So the thing is that synergy. And when you work together, synergy is 1 plus 1 commonly is equal to 3 or more, right? Actually 1 plus 2, 1 can be anything. Can be anything. Hey, if synergy work wrongly, can be minus 1. Can also be, but you call it differently, you don't call it synergy anymore. But 1 plus 1, if it doesn't bring in synergy, the X factor, can be terrible. But if you 1 plus 1 bring in the X factor which brings synergy, then you get more than 2. Now, I was attracted to the acrobatic act because recently I went on a cruise and they had a very acrobatic show here. This is dependent. Who is dependent on who?
Each other.
No, not each other. This fellow doing all the work. This fellow is dependent on him. There are 2 persons, no? 1 person on top. This is independent. I must apologize for the quality of the picture. This one is independent, quite clear, right? This is interdependent. And now if you're in this position, you have to do certain things. Something has to be happening. They must have got shared values. They have shared common goal. They must have, common goal means vision, and vision they share also. They must trust each other. Imagine this person not trusting this person with the line. You must trust, right? I put you on top here, you cannot trust whether this chap can stand it. You don't have the competency and the ability to do it. Then you will not be there. You don't dare to be there. You trust, then you've got interdependence. There's interdependence, then you've got synergy. Is that my last slide? That is my last slide. Thank you very much. I think I have bored you guys somewhere about 5 minutes from now, just now. Thanks, sorry for that. I think I bored you guys. Thank you. Doctor.
So, I think our chief, I must explain why we call him chief. We used to call him inspector because he was inspector of factories. So you already explained. Okay. I think he's given us all the features of synergy and interdependence. But if any one of you have done business before, and if you have done business in a small way, you find that it is very hard to grow in business by yourself. You can only grow if you work with others. You might have to work with your bank, you might have to work with a partner, you might have to work with somebody to market for you. By yourself, you can only grow to a certain level, that's all. You therefore must work with somebody else. How can you work with somebody else if you don't trust that person? That's why we went through this trust. So we must assess, can I work with this person? He says he can do this, can he really do it? After he can, is he going to cheat me? You have to assess all these things. And after you assess, you say, okay, I'm going to partner him. And if your judgment is right, your business will grow. Your judgment is wrong, you're finished. Either you take your money, or that guy say he can do something he cannot do, together you make a mess of everything. So you need to synergize and depend on each other. And all of us have limitations. I can be very good at one thing. For example, myself, right? I cannot speak Mandarin. Almost zero, I wouldn't say zero, right? I cannot do business if I have to depend on Chinese-speaking customers. So what do? I find somebody who is good at speaking Chinese to be my partner. And together we can do this business. I cannot set up a restaurant because I cannot cook. If I want to do by myself, so I must find a cook and work together with the cook. Then I need to buy food, right? I go to Stella.
Stella Finance.
Stella Finance, I go to Stella, I say I need money, right? So I need to collaborate. I don't think she's a cook, but maybe she's a good cook, I don't know. But I need to collaborate with Stella, right? When am I going to do the purchasing? I'm going to give this fellow whatever, right? So you have to arrange it, and we have to finance the party. So there's a lot of things we have to do with each other. We cannot do it by ourselves. That's interdependence.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to kind of jam in here. You know, this one of the things that I noticed, I've known our GM Loom for many, many years, since the early 2000s. And, you know, one of the things that Loom has been trying to do in SPGG is to operate a very tight ship and at the same time try to make the team work together. So Luke has always been like what the chief earlier mentioned, you know, you must be a master of one or two trades, and then you have to be a jack of all trades, master of one or two, you know. And then team must work together. And I think that's one of the things that our serve Wong is doing. I think this is very good. I think what we need to be thinking about moving forward is that what is it lacking among our team members here? You know, is it the trust? is it that we don't have a common value, which I think is something that we should be thinking about developing it, because 46 years, for coming 47 years now, there must be something that keep us moving. So that kind of good segue for me to move on to the next slide.
Sorry, change it.
Oh, you changed already? Oh, so fast already. Oh, oh, thank you. So interdependent.
Yeah. But you must understand each other. I changed my style.
Well,
Communication, I didn't tell you.
no trust, because I didn't trust that you were going to do that. Anyway, I think, it's a good time for us to just take a couple of minutes to quickly refresh. I think some of you may not even know that SPGG has got a mission and vision statement. In fact, this mission and vision statement was revised back in 2009 or 2008. We went out to a retreat in Bintang Island.
Sentosa.
Sentosa was different. Sentosa was our 4 pillars. This one there was 2009 with Tong Kok Yu and Solai Sun. We went to Bintang and spent 2 nights there. And we kind of revised our vision. And let's do a quick review in case you all do not know, and now you should know, because after that got test one. Our vision of SPG is to be a club of distinction, bolded and with activity of diversity to foster a lifelong bond between SPGG and Singapore Polytechnic, which is our armamenta, and our members in the community. So our vision is to be a club of distinction. If nothing else at all, just remember, we want to be the club of distinction. And I personally have got a very simple way of visualizing what is the club of distinction. A club of distinction means people who are eligible to be our member are clamoring to join us, They want to join us. Just like Tanglin Club, you want to join Tanglin Club, you have to queue, Not everyone got money can join. So we want to be a club where every one of the Singapore Polytechnic's graduates will want to be a part of. Okay? And if we can achieve that, then I think that will be a good vision. And the other thing is that we also need to be an organization where we have influence in our community. I mean to say, when we speak, people listen. Anything to do with the poly education, anything to do with our alumni, people listen. That's our vision. Now, of course, we also have our mission. I will just briefly highlight that, we want to connect SPGG member and the SPGG, like what Stella mentioned, get connected and stay connected among our graduates. And also promote professional and entrepreneurship development, which Habib have been very actively involved in this big idea, the Entrepreneur Hub activity. And then we also, as chairman and the chief mentioned earlier, we alone are insufficient and not capable of doing big things. In order for us to do more, we have to work with others. Therefore, the synergy, the interdependence, the trust, all this coming together. So we need to collaborate and foster relationship with other organizations. So this is SPGG's vision, and you should take a look at it when you have time, right? Now, very quickly, I also want to take a couple of minutes to refresh on this slide was created by Stella, I think 2015 for our AGM. In 2013, a group, the ESCO together with the senior management team went to Sentosa Island. We said we need to carve up our strategic group map, and Jasmine was very instrumental in developing the package for this development of this our strategic group map. And the 4 pillars, which is transformational 4 strategic trust, was the 4 pillar that we say this is what SPGG need to become a club of distinction. Number 1 is to raise our profile. Number 2, as a society, as an alumni society, we must give back. Give back to our society, give back to our armamenta, give back to our fellow students. And as an SP graduates society, Entrepreneur Hub is part of our DNA. So we want to continue to promote the entrepreneurs. And last but not least, if you have everything, but people don't like to come here because your food sucks, your service quality lousy, then we fail. So we must have a reason for for members and their family to want to come back. So a vibrant, a service, good quality service, and the vibrancy became one of the important part of our 4 pillars. Now, over the last 4 or 5 years, we have been working very hard, driving towards this, to deploy, implement these 4 pillars, and we have some success. I think, you know, the raising the profile was through this leadership talk. You know, part of it is like what we're doing today. And then giving back is endowment fund, and also many charitable events that the Raymond is heading, and entrepreneur hubs. Habib and Dr. Damon Tan, at least every 4 months we have this, you know, the big idea business plan competition, and then our F&B and all this. So now I take a bit more time than I should, but there are other things that are important to us, and one of them is that we need, as a society, Stella already pointed out, we need to be profitable. We need to make money. If we are not, we need not to be profit focused, but we need to be profitable, as Chairman earlier said. So we need to be financially strong. So we need to look for new source of revenue, because our source of revenue is too defined, very clear. You know, membership subscription, our jackpot, our office rental, etc., our F&B. So we had explored several things, you know, rooftop, children playground, and others. Then we also look at the collaboration with other organization, you know, the Singapore Polytechnic, our alma mater was the Smart Club outing, and also we work with the several parties to launch our history book. And then we even explore the possibility of raising our subscription fee in order to raise our revenue source. So these are things that we have done, and the 4 pillars have gone through. I think I've just touched on, so I won't have to spend any more time here. Now, the things that we have to, you want to talk about this, Chairman? Why don't I pass you to talk about this, then I will continue here.
Yeah.
Chairman has got very passionate about this slide. He found it on the internet, and he said, Jimmy, I know how to go to the internet and find information. Here you go.
Okay. When the President asked me to rejoin the guild, I don't know whether you all know, a long time ago I was a member. Then I quit.
Yeah.
Then now he told me, I'm letting you into a secret. He told me that the EXCO met and they are going to make me an honorary member. I tell you, I was terrified. Last time I quit, now you ask me to join again. But I thought to myself, I shouldn't just act so negatively. Why am I so scared? So I started questioning him. What are you guys doing? You asked me to become an honorary member. But what are you doing, SPGG? How many members do you have? Oh, it's very big, 3,000. So I said, what is the potential? How many graduates have you got from Poly? 200 over 1,000. Wow, I said out of 200 over 1,000, you got 3,000 members. It's almost 1.5%. Actually, the target should be 30,000 or 50,000. So I asked him, why is it only 3,000? Why do you do 50,000? Have you been to our building? You know it's almost full already. We got bowling alley downstairs, we got all these offices upstairs, right? We got these restaurants. I'll tell you something, no? Our restaurants serve the world's best pork knuckle. It's actually the world's best. World's best I've ever eaten. But never mind. I think you should actually expand this business. Advertise it, people will come and eat. My only worry, if you advertise it, people come, you cannot cope with it.
Maybe that's the reason why you want to join us.
But anyway, in my mind I was thinking, you should aim for 30,000. Maybe 100,000, right? Only half only. 100,000 is less than 50%. So 3,000 is not an achievement, if you don't mind my saying so, sir. But look at it. The potential is incredible. It's incredible. If you take 200,000 and add each one have a family of 3, let's say, 600,000 you can get. Then you get associate members from other universities, colleges and so on. You can get $1 million market. But your building is so small. So at this point, I asked to include this slide. I want to ask, I like to do surveys. How many of you brought your phones here? Those who brought their phones here?
Who has got 2?
Who has 3?
So, how many of you don't own a mobile phone? 0, right? Everybody owns a mobile phone. Actually, the mobile phone, Wi-Fi, internet, and then you can send all this rubbishy WhatsApp and all that. But anyway, this is a way of communicating. WhatsApp, SMS, Facebook, right? Twitter, all these will connect. You know what we are doing? We are using a card system. I remember when the card system was first introduced in a few clubs I joined. Oh, I was very upset. No? I said, why must I bring this card, right? Now, people use the phone, but we don't connect with the phone. We still ask them to bring the card. Cody, I think the market through the phone connection is incredible, right? We are not using it. Every one of us own a phone. To prepare for this talk, I tell you, President, Chief and I, we WhatsApp, we send email, done everything through the phone. We couldn't have done it without our phone. And yet, in this organization, SPGG, we hardly use the phone. One of the questions when I first came here, I asked the president, you have Wi-Fi or not? He said, yeah. So I connect. That's why I was quite happy to come here. If I cannot connect Wi-Fi here, I will struggle probably. And many people won't come here if you have no Wi-Fi.
Chairman, it just strengthened Eugene's proposal for budget increase for the IT.
I don't know what you're asking for, but I agree with you.
Those, already, I got recording.
Got recording.
Cannot say no.
Hey, you have to go to chairman for signature.
So, just now we saw how many pillars, how many steps and all this. In my mind I was thinking, oh, this is very small steps. But to make this change, to go into Facebook or whatever it is, we have to think out of the box. It's not easy. But I tell you, we have the talent here. In this room, we already have talented people who can help us do it. Those who don't know, I think we should learn. You know, I'm 75 years old, struggling with all this stuff. Every time I ask the president, he says, oh, I've got to teach you this, I've got to teach you that. But anyway, I learn, right? Go step by step. But I think you all will do it better than me. Pass it back to you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President, just one.
Yes, sir.
The question you posed was, what's the purpose of SPGG? I'm an outsider, I'm not even a Singaporean. When I first came to Singapore in 1970, a consulting engineering office started. The first 10-12 years, I took on board many of Singapore Poly engineering graduates, top class. You know, it's a great institution, the Singapore Poly.
Thank you very much.
It's true, it's true. And I was also part of the design, engineering, architectural team where we did the first phase, the library admin, the first phase, 10 teaching blocks, a few workshops. So, of course, I know our two gentlemen here quite well. Alfred Wong, and so on and so forth, and Kukecha and you quite well and so forth. So that's an excellent connection. But I think the Singapore Poly is a really worthwhile institution, And SPGG is part of it, you know. And I think that underpins it, and I think it's really a great tradition.
Wow, thank you very much, Mr. Supremo. Mr. Ng, for giving great compliment to the principal. Well, after Chairman, use this slide that he copied from internet with a handphone. Use handphone to tell us that we are not thinking big enough. I'm kind of embarrassed to go down to the next slide where I want to talk about our challenge. I was going to say, we have a big dream and so on, right? We have practical challenges that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And Stella is very familiar, Loom is very familiar, Johnny, and almost every head of the department is very familiar. SPG, we have this challenge of escalating costs but stagnant in revenue. And at the same time, we face with the common problem many other alumni clubs are facing with, for instance, the declining membership growth, right? Or basically very little growth or no growth at all. And we're also confronted with the government policy issues such as the jackpot new regulation, which is going to reduce our income. And also to get our lease with the Singapore Polytechnic will be kicked in with a full market rate starting from 2021, okay, which sounds far away, but actually it's like tomorrow, okay. So we are faced with all these problems, but at the same time, we, apart from having to survive, we also need to do good, and we also need to think big, and we also need to think out of the box. Honestly, I don't know what box to think, but I think today we are very fortunate. We learned a lot of things from Mr. Chairman and Mr. Chief Inspector. But through all these lessons that we have learned this morning and the early part of the afternoon, I think we should start pondering a few questions that could be significantly important to us, and using the methodologies, the story that we learned this morning. First, I would like to pose 4 questions for us to think about. And this is important. This one, you have to take it down because we're going to follow up on this.
You're going to print it, circulate, right?
Yeah. As we said earlier, SPGs have been 47 years old this year, right? And we have not really questioned what is the value of SPGG. Maybe we should start thinking about it. Maybe we should have a session to, we all can together with the EXCO, think about what is the value of SPGG. And this becomes an important element to build this interdependency and synergy with other organizations, as rightly pointed out by Chief Inspector just now. Now, apart from that, is when you have the value, what is really the purpose? I mean, basically, we're going to revisit what is the vision or mission of SPGG. Is the one that we currently have, the one I just described to you, still viable, still befitting of the SPGG? I don't know. I think we need to revisit that, and if it's not, we'll craft it up a new one. And the thing I learned from this morning's session is that we have these memes, right? We learned about memes. I'll ask the question, is our memes preventing us from seeing the real purpose of SPGG? Right? So maybe we should. And the question next is that how do we get there? How do we get to the vision, the value, and the purpose, right? So we go back to the basic of CDIO, right? Do you remember what CDIO was? Johnny, you remember? You want to tell us?
Design, implement, completion.
Operation.
Concept.
Almost there. It's conceived, but create also can. Yeah. So the last question, of course, if we haven't thought about 1, 2, and 3, we don't need to waste time on the fall. But I think we need to also ask, honestly, be honest to ourselves, do we have the right leadership team? And I think this one involving not only the HOD, the GM, but also our EXCO members. Do we have the right composition of the members? Do we have the right skill set? Do we set high enough, exciting goal to attract the good talent to join us and to serve? I think these are the questions that we need to ask ourselves. And as it is today, we talk a lot about the synergy and interdependency. Is this in this organization, do the interdependent and the synergetic relationship exist? I know Luke tried very hard for years to build this interdependency among the head of departments, among the groups, different functional groups. How well are we doing? Is there more we could do? On the EXCO side, the question is that, do we capitalize on the skill set and the strength of our fellow EXCO, different EXCO? I think all different EXCO has different skill set, different background and experience. Do we build this? Have we been able to capitalize on the interdependency? Maybe the most basic question that we may have to ask ourselves, including the management teams, do we trust each other? So I think there are many questions. I think today's session, bring us to many, many fundamental questions that we can start asking ourselves. So I would like to leave these 4 questions, for all of us to ponder. Maybe we will come and look into that again at the not so distant future. But I think something worthwhile for us to think about. So with that, I'd like to pass the mic back to the chairman to do the closing. He got one more very important slide to share. Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Here's the slide.
This is my last slide. When the president asked me to give this talk, actually he didn't ask me, I said, I want to give this talk.
Oh, you're quite honest.
Right? He said, okay, you are going to talk alone, as in the chief and I will talk. So, you know what 7.5 means, right? 7.5, 7.1. But 5.9, we also know what now. Originally, we had 7.1, 7.5, 7.1, 7.5. So we were thinking, between the chief and I, we were going to talk. Then I asked him, how many days are you going to let us talk? He said, how many days are? I said, chief and I, we can talk forever. You talk about nothing also, we can talk forever. So chief and I, we got together and we said, hey, we better don't do this. Two of us, we bring the president in. So the president came in. And now it's become 7.5, 7.1, 5.9, 7.1, 7.5, 5.9. It's like that. We work as a team. And then we have different ideas. We must join them. This is what we're trying to do. And I'm trying to do now, as my closing remarks, how to join all these points. We discussed so many points. We must join it. So I'd like to start by saying that the world is changing. You all know this better than me because I really struggle trying to keep up with technology. Even my house was in a mess because I had this broadband from StarHub, and then Singtel told me you must put in optic fiber. You put in optic fiber, it messes up all my Wi-Fi. I could rewire all my Wi-Fi, and it's not just Wi-Fi. I don't know whether you all are as confused as I am about this virtual world. There is a virtual world, and in addition to this virtual world, there's something called augmented reality. So there's virtual reality, there's augmented reality. This subject I know better than you. Because in our hospitals, I was just reading an article sent by one of the doctors to me, in Imperial College in London, they have used the first augmented assisted virtual augmented reality assisted surgery. So somebody had to do some surgery, very complicated surgery in the leg. So they did MRI and so on. And then they had to wear some kind of goggle. In the goggle, when they are doing the surgery, they will know actually what is behind this vein, what is behind the bone. It's in the virtual mode. So the surgeon, as he's cutting a bone, he knows that if he cut a little bit deeper, he will cut a vein, but he cannot see it. But with augmented reality, right, he can do all these things. This is only last week. I read last week's article. So the world is changing at this unbelievable pace. I cannot keep up with it. I think you all will also struggle. But maybe we need to bring a few people together. But on the phone, I keep on saying iPhone because my phone is iPhone. But on the mobile phone, on internet, and with a link with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and so on, there's so many things we can do. In the payment system, we ought to be using the phone to pay. We are having this picture of a phone and a credit card and a debit card, right? And cash. We are not tapping on the phone for some reason, but it will happen. Because my grandson, 6 years old and 11 years old, they are carrying this phone. And they are doing, I send messages to them, they send videos to me, right? The future is this way. And all of you, I think, we discussed just now, all of you have a phone. You cannot survive without this phone. And we carry it with us all the time. We must find people like Kuri. I keep on saying Kuri because I happened to have the chance to meet him yesterday or the day before. So I'm sure many of you have the same abilities that he has. You must pull together. So I would like to say that this will dominate our lives, not only physical things. You know, people in my age group, maybe even your presidents, although it's one generation away from me, we keep on thinking about the physical things. You know, our floor, I was in Wong, this so I know. This building we have piled for one more story up. So I said, what are you going to do with this place? Oh, we build one more story, we can have a nursery. I said, what do you want to build a nursery? Well, some of our members can bring our children here, our staff can bring our children here, all these staff can bring the children here, we can make a bit of money. I say, your membership is 3,000 and you are doing more for this 3,000 and so on. Why don't you spend some time to increase from 3,000 to 50,000? Actually, in my mind, I was thinking 100,000, but I said 50,000. It's impossible. Actually, we think it's impossible. But why is it impossible? Facebook has how many, Kuri, members?
1 billion.
Huh?
2 billion.
2.3 billion. 2.3 billion.
2.3 billion Facebook
accounts.
So, we are talking only about 30,000, maybe 50,000, although my target 100,000. I like this 100, I always use it everywhere I go.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
You know, I went to the hospital, I said 100,000 also, but for different subjects. But the purpose of saying 100,000 is don't aim from 3,000 to 3,001, right? From 3,001 to 3,003, right? That's not the way to go. Get out of this box. Can you imagine if we link through Facebook or through our own platform? If we build our platform, we can connect with 200,000-300,000. Oh, yes, sir.
Talking about technology, I suppose you have many years of class. You have many years, and then you have the year class, and so on. So maybe we can start off with using Facebook, where every class has the level have a Facebook, and then go down to the class level have a Facebook, and so on. And when we have information to disseminate, You just go through all this, then they will feel very close to the poly. That's all.
So counseling suggestion is you catch them by segments, right?
Yeah. You level, then they find there's a common topic. We are same level, how can I never see you one? So there's a link. Just like now, though I'm not an RI boy, but I'm playing soccer with the RI.
You were not accepted by RI, right?
Yeah, I was just being a naughty lah. I know I won't get into Sec 1, but anyhow I still apply for RI. Because I know I won't get in anyway, just for the fun of it. But anyhow, nowadays I'm the first outside RI boy playing with them. And they have the whole level playing. Same age, O level, different class, but playing together. They network, right? They may not know one another, but some are trying to play catch up now, right? So you can implement all this through Facebook, level, then individual class.
I want to tell you that counseling is not very IT savvy. Although he talks like he knows everything, right? The honest truth is he never passed primary 2. I hope you don't
No,
okay.
it's a fact.
So he never passed primary 2, but he learned. He can do so many things. You talk to him, you thought he's very knowledgeable because he's dyslexic. So if you notice, whatever I put, every slide I put there, I read. Because he cannot read. No, he cannot read, but he's with us, he's a businessman, he's doing business. I think he's quite incredible. Thank you. But I think he's also limited. Because, can you discuss it?
Yeah.
I sense that he has a problem in getting to work with other people, to synergize, to be interdependent, to trust other people. If he can do that, I tell you, he will be fantastic. Anyway, one day he'll be there. He talked like he's already there.
Have to be there, have to change.
I forgot to say something very important. I have a closing comments here. And I sent it to Chief for approval. I said, this is what I'm going to say. Right? Is it okay? He was very good. He sent me an immediate reply. Yes, sir, he said. It's okay. But please read it. He told me don't speak because I talk a lot of nonsense. Yes. Please read it. He knows that I cannot read. Because I suffer trying to read. Not that I cannot read the words. I cannot read a speech. I must just talk. So you don't mind. Time to time I look at this so that I don't miss out the point. So the next point I have here that I want to discuss, because the purpose of my closing comments is to connect all the dots. Joining the dots. This is what I'm supposed to do. We discuss various ideas. How is it connected together? So I need to say that you all need to carve something. And your starting point that you are going to carve SPGG is not a perfect piece of wood. And you should not carve Tajima's duck. Because he knows exactly what he wants. He took a photograph, he took a nice piece of wood, he carved exactly this duck called a mallard. You cannot carve this duck. But you can carve something like the hippo that I have carved. Looks a little bit like a hippo, not exactly like a hippo, but going in that direction. And maybe you do what I did. You might start trying to carve an octopus. Halfway you say, oh, looks like we can't. Something is missing somewhere. Change direction a little bit and carve something else. Don't give up. Do something else. And we must know that by ourselves, I'm repeating this, by ourselves, we cannot achieve more than what we can achieve by working together with other people. We must find a way to work with other people. I cannot write Chinese, I cannot speak Chinese well. I need to find a partner if I want to do business in China. No way can I do business in China if I don't find a Chinese speaking partner. It's critical. I have to assess, partner with somebody, like it or not. Of course, I can just stay where I am. And then as the whole world changes, I become smaller and smaller and smaller. So SPGG can become like this. You know, our accounts, Stella will tell you, our accounts are okay. I actually went to study a balance sheet, profit and loss account. Not bad. Of course, the Poly helped a bit by waiving some debts. And of course, you have this big machine out in the front there giving you all this money, right? The jackpot room. We are actually okay. But we should not just continue like this. One day the government will stop the jackpot room, right? We'll be in trouble. And then you look at our numbers, we say, whoa, we are 3%, now we are 1%, right? Even if we stay at 3,000, the 3% will go down to 2%, go down, because the number of graduates will go up and up and up. We are not really connecting with our graduates. So our aim should be 100,000.
Loon, you are just 97,000 off.
Yeah, now we got all member coming up.
And I want to emphasize, we talk about working as a team, synergy, interdependence. I have learned in the different organizations, I've been in many organizations, as Mr. President has said. I find that the key to working together is openness. We must be very open. We must say, what is it we want to do? We must let everybody discuss. From our members to the Poly, we must always connect with the Poly. Do they agree? This is what we want to do. They must agree, they must disagree. We must find out why. Our members, our staff. Open discussion, openness. So for example, I asked him, you know, I went to the internet, I found that our chief's organization he's working in, serving in, called SPD. I found the balance sheet, I found the profit and loss account, and I said, then I went to SPGG. Wow, there was this write-up about what we do and all this. And I got no accounts. So I said,
AGM annual report. You read it?
in the annual report, you go and look at the annual report. The balance sheet, tell you it's not there. Because you want to hide it. Okay, I'm just saying in jest, but if you have a policy of showing everybody, don't be scared. Then you're open. Everybody will look at it. Also, it prevents you from going up to doing something that's wrong. You cannot get up to no good. When you are publicly open, you do something wrong, you'll be caught. Everybody look at you. So open. My suggestion is make it open. And today your accounts are good. I would say it's not bad. It's a good time to start by being open. If you go historically, I said we have been up to a lot of nonsense in the past. Right? At one time, when I was on the verge of, I just left the Poly as chairman, I would have shut it down. Don't get back to that situation. I think you guys are very lucky. You guys, all of us are lucky that we have a president like Jimmy. He's actually quite an extraordinary man. Because when we discussed this talk with him, wow, I had to work so hard. Every slide I produced, okay, why you want to show this slide? How is this connected? You say this interdependence, why is interdependence got with SPG? Everyone I have to justify. Then how is this idea connected to the next idea? Also I have to justify. Sleepless nights, Well, then I say you're damn good now. Actually, you praise somebody that is good, sometimes they float up, balloon. But I tell you, anybody who is more than 80 kilos will never be able to float up. He's well grounded. But the important thing is, I think, his heart is with SPGG. Right? I can't imagine going through what he went through.
Chairman, I was saying that he's well grounded and putting bread on earth.
No, we make Fook and I work so hard. After halfway, we ask him, why are we doing all this? He bought us only a chocolate or something, you know. And then sometimes he order kopi, shoe time. And then we work for days on this. I tell you, he's quite extraordinary. We are lucky. Luck actually is very, very important. But luck doesn't make everything happen. What makes everything happen is hard work, teamwork. So setting our values is, as discussed by Chief, is critical. Set our values, find people who share this value, and people who really disagree with this value, you must ease them out. Because if they don't agree with this value, they stay with you, they will destroy it. They make you unhappy, they are unhappy, you are unhappy, the place will collapse. And I have seen this happening. You know why I've seen it, you haven't seen it? Because I'm 75 years old. Actually, one of my work job was called, what is the word? I used to go into companies that are about to fail, or has failed, to try to
Turn around.
I did many of these jobs. Every time I try to find out why. Very often it's because of the people. They are wrong type of people. It's not that they are not talented, no. It's just they don't agree with the values of the organization. It's quite a pity. So now to say something a bit more tight to this point, I missed certain parts, is why do I say 100,000? Because if we aim, I think we cannot aim just to survive. And I have discussed this. If you aim to survive, you will deteriorate. Because everything will change. So you must aim high. And we must share this aim, be passionate in this dream. Of course, some of us may think, is it really possible? I don't know. But we must try to aim high. I think with this president grounded in cannot escape already, I think he's beginning to enjoy it. Although he's not trying to show his feelings. No, it's important. We must have somebody drive it, and all the others who can contribute. So I'm talking about Kuri again because I spent some time with him 2 days ago. If he has some skill, he's not going to take over from him, right? But he will contribute what he's good at, and another person will contribute what he's good at, and we pull it together. I think we will do something quite incredible. So I have this feeling that SPGG will do something extraordinary. Which is why I told the President, you are going to honor me by asking me to be an honorary member. I'm very happy to agree.
That wasn't what he said to me yet.
Just kidding.
Then you know what he told me? Hey, see, your friend Wong Fook is there now. He won't pull you down. I say I'm not interested in going down. We should go up. I think we can go up.
Yes, I think so.
And we will carve something like the hippo. Not the duck. Thank you.